Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. We got a fantastic show for you. We've had all this new information regarding DC All In and Absolute Universe and all that stuff. A little bit of controversy here and there. We've got sales numbers, what we might be able to get to, and just a fun panel to talk about all this stuff. Perch is not here. I believe he's on assignment in Europe, or maybe he's returned by now. Special guest Aaron Sparrow, finally. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right, Wes. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Are you sick? You got a little thing in your throat.
No, this is the first time I've spoken this morning, so I've got that kind of like rough scratchiness to my voice.
You need a coffee.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I've got throat cancer.
Don't say that.
That's me.
No, as I turn more and more into Doc, my voice is getting rougher. And screw all this crap.
You got to start smoking like 3 packs a day. It'll take in order to get caught up.
Yeah. All right. Big challenge.
So how you been, Aaron? Anything happened this week that people should know about?
No, I'm exhausted. I've just been working, and unfortunately, where I work for my regular job right now, there's no air conditioning, so it's just really, really hot. So like by the time I get home, I am just like completely drained. So but nothing going on today except writing. So that'll be fun. Right after this, I'll jump into editing, finishing editing up on one project, getting some finalizing some pages to send over to art for black and white, and then a little bit of Kneel Before Doomface maybe in the evening. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice little Saturday.
Yeah. And then next week, San Diego Comic-Con.
So you're going to be out of town next week?
Just from I'm going to go Wednesday evening to through Friday evening, and then I'll be back Saturday.
So you'll be able to talk about your experience here on the channel?
Yeah, that's I kind of planned it that way. Like come back Friday night so that I'm here Saturday morning, so that we can I can give you guys the scoop on what San Diego Comic-Con is like.
Well, very nice. You're making the pilgrimage. I believe you'll be the only one.
The scoop on the poop.
That's right. Reporter on the scene.
Very nice. Unless Sully, not Sully. Dylan, are you making the trek down to California? Or are you staying up in the Northeast?
Yeah, Northwest. I'm staying up in the Northwest. I'm not going to head down for San Diego Comic-Con. As fun as that would be, I'm not going to.
Have you been?
No, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. Kind of a bucket list thing, though.
Come on down,
cool
Dylan.
One day.
Yeah, come on down. Hang out.
One of these days, I'll do it.
You'll probably sleep on Aaron's couch.
Yeah.
You save on some hotel costs and stuff, but you're an Emerald City Comic-Con guy.
Yep, that's just like 30 minutes away from me, so I go to that like every year.
Very nice. Are you excited about all this DC news that we're going to be getting into?
Some of it I'm excited about. Other of it's like, oh, another event. Or I guess not. Technically not an event. It's an initiative. It's totally different.
But the good news is we got Dan Mora on Superman moving forward. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad he got plucked from the claws of Mark Waid, so that was cool.
Yeah, I think people will be happy about that one. So, but Superman's looked good from the beginning. Jamal Campbell was really good. I like the Gleb Melnikov stuff, and I certainly appreciated the Rafa Sandoval stuff too. So, and they're definitely keeping it up with the good artists on Superman.
Yeah, and we got on Action Comics, got Eddie Barrows. As much as I'm not a fan of Gail Simone on right now, Eddie Barrows is killing it on there. So yeah, we've got some premier artists on Superman all around.
Yeah, I do love me some Eddie Barrows as well. What are you thinking about this new look Superman, Absolute Superman, with the gray suit and the floppy hair and the stubble?
The haircut is awful. That's the main thing. Everything else I can forgive. I'm not the biggest fan of everything else, but the haircut looks so bad. The haircut looks so like early 2000s edgy. It doesn't fit at all. The rest of it, but the haircut is really, really bad. He's got like lava forearms too, which I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's part of the suit itself or like new powers he's gonna have. So I don't know how all that works. But yeah, not the biggest fan of the new look for Superman, but we'll see.
Anything anyone needs to know about your YouTube channel or the Twitch?
I just did a video on all this new DC stuff, so if you want to check that out, if you're here in the stream, you want to check that out later, you can go check that out. Yeah, I just talked about the new creative teams and the All In and Absolute. So yeah, go check that out.
Is it better than my video?
I don't know. That's for the people to decide.
Oh my goodness. You're probably playing fucking Arkham Asylum too while you're doing it, so it looks more interesting than my face, right?
No, this one's
Wow.
just my face. This one, so.
At least I got a fighting chance. Isn't it weird? You put all that effort into these videos and you're like, oh, I got all these effects. And then it's like, here, let me play a game and talk about Nightwing, nothing specific, but just talk about it for 30 minutes and that video does better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot. That's literally like my my videos that have over 1 million views are literally just me playing games. That's like insane. Other ones I spend like months on, like so much time working on. It doesn't even get half the amount of views. But that's YouTube. That's how it works.
It's kind of ASMR. Like I'll put on like game stuff in the background, and a lot of times I'll watch people play games because I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in this game, but I do not have time to devote to play it. So I can work and I can do other stuff, but I can watch this guy play it, and it's just like hanging out with a buddy and watching him play the game while you do something else.
Makes sense.
So should I play like John Madden football and talk about comic news?
Why not?
Give it a shot.
Yeah,
That sounds fun. I'd tune in for that, especially if it's like Madden 95.
Oh, it'd be more like Madden 2009
Oh,
or maybe
come on.
2005, something like that.
Madden 93's got the
Really?
ambulance that runs over people. It's pretty
Because
fun.
I got the PS3. That's my game system of game system of choice. I'm not even up to the 4 or 5. So
I'd play some 2009 Raw versus SmackDown, and you can hear me talk about pop culture while you watch me wrestle as Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy. What a jabroni.
Remember that guy?
When The Rock made up the term jabroni in wrestling, he had Mr. Kennedy in mind, even though he hadn't debuted. He's like, eventually there's going to be a fucking turd.
Come on. He stole that from the Iron Sheik.
He
He
did.
did.
He did.
Yep.
Jabroni was an Iron Sheik term.
Break her back the old school way, the old country way.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I will say
we
this
do
about
have-
Mr. Kennedy.
Oh,
I
sorry.
met Mr. Kennedy at San Diego Comic-Con one year, and he was super cool.
I'm sure he was. His
Mhm.
character's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nick Nemeth or Dolph Ziggler is the coolest guy in the world in real life. I think he's a comedian.
Yeah. I met him at Tournament of Nerds. He was it was like right around the time that Hostess had gone out of business, and he was wearing a shirt that said "Save the Twinkies." But nice guy.
Very nice. So next up, we do have returning to the Comics Aficionados. Jim, we missed you. Glad
Hello.
that you can make it back.
Yes, I'm back. I ended up having to take a hiatus after yelling at Dylan at the end of the last time I was on. I had to cool down.
Personal
I had to go and do some inner searching.
Did you
get
find
back.
yourself
I did. I found myself. Yeah, I didn't like
at the
what
buffet
I found.
eating
though.
3 steaks
Yeah,
again, even
yeah.
though you don't eat meat?
Maybe at the Red Lobster. We were talking about that before we started. I wouldn't mind that.
I love the Red Lobster. It's so underrated at this point. People act like it's like going to Shoney's or something.
Yeah. That's the thing is, it's good. People just get embarrassed that they like it. I think it's like a guilty pleasure.
I don't know. When I was in high school, if you took your girl to the Red Lobster,
Yeah.
that meant like you liked her.
Yeah, that was big time.
It
That was
also
like
meant you
after
had some
prom.
money.
Yeah.
That's true.
Grandpa
And
gave
you
me
could
some money.
drive.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah.
Anything going on the channel? You covering all this big news?
Yeah, just the big news stuff, breaking news, stuff like that, and some reviews. Same old,
So-
same old.
I got in trouble because last Saturday on the Best of the Week show, Drew and I were talking about the new Sad Lantern Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making fun of it and saying it was stupid, even though I love Jeremy Adams. I think he's a great writer. I think that's a bad idea. And someone said, screw you and your stupid biased takes. I'm taking my business over to Weird Science.
Damn right. That's what they said.
That was
I-
Gabe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Sus-
actually
Sus
me.
Gabe.
It was one of my 3 burner accounts.
Suscape,
Yeah, I love the Sad Lantern Corps. I told you that, Wes. No, it was pretty bad. You don't need to add any more cores like that. There's plenty of emotions out there. Sad is one that I guess we could all relate to, but it was weird. It was weird. But I love Jeremy Adams too, and didn't really love that aspect. So maybe whoever it is listening now.
Maybe disappointed.
They're off to Sully's. They're just going to start leapfrogging everywhere.
Sully's the only person I knew that had a really positive spin on it because he really liked the fact that the thing was shaped like a teardrop
Yeah, he did like
to
that.
really enhance the sadness.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine the Lantern Oath. It's gonna be like you have to sing it like Morrison lyrics, like "In darkest day and brightest night."
And by the way, I'd say about 10 years ago, I was rocking that Superman absolute hairdo. So there you go.
You were floppy haired Jim?
Yeah, I was floppy hair Jim at one point.
You never
Very
go
nice.
full Tony.
And you have an original song on your YouTube channel that people should check out, right?
I made a song out of the lyrics from Tom King's backup in Wonder Woman, where the ridiculous deal where Trinity, John, and Damien go and check out a concert by Black Canary. So I used his lyrics, so it's more Tom King's song. So
So it's like an ode to Tom King.
Well, it's his lyrics. I just it's all Tom King. Tom King, 100%. So when you're done, you
hear that with real music.
building.
Yeah, go check out the Weird Sides.
Yeah, check it out.
How's the video doing? Are people loving it?
It's okay. It's not great, but one person, the first comment was, "Why did you subject me to that?" And then they got a little more positive after that. It's for a goof, but
Because Tom King subjected you to it.
That's right. I was going to add I figured I'd go full out. I was going to add like a refrain in the middle about how he loves his mom and hates his daddy. But I didn't go that far.
There you go. Big things popping on Weird Science. Obviously, you still got the podcast, you got the Patreon, you got the review site and the YouTube. You literally have a comic book review empire.
An empire of dirt. That's what it is, but it's fine. And Gabe's the prince of the empire, so you know that it's doing so well.
Was that a Nine Inch Nails reference? Or?
Yes, it was. It was indeed.
Sad Lantern.
Or a Johnny Cash reference, I could say.
Yeah.
Every time I hear Sad Lantern, I just think of Sad Panda from South Park. So it's like I just hear the characters going, and that makes me a sad lantern.
Last but not least, we do have Doc. Doc and I have already reviewed Phoenix #1 and talking about the controversy surrounding the art. And we also talked about the importance of continuity and Polygon not getting it. That was stupid.
Well, that's because Polygon is stupid.
It's true.
Populated by stupid people that are employed by stupider people to keep them employed. We had a nice long conversation. It'll be up on the Patreon when? Tomorrow. Today? Okay. And then it's good times. We again, when it comes to that Phoenix book, until proven otherwise, I don't think this guy can actually draw.
Well, I mean, he's paired with a writer who can't actually write, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So it's the anti-comic book.
Sparrow, in the Polygon article where they're talking about why continuity doesn't matter, there are 3 big examples of why you don't need to use continuity are the Acolyte, Captain America Brave New World, and Star Trek Prodigy.
3 examples of... Actually, I hear Star Trek Prodigy is not that bad. I have not watched that one, but I have seen the other... Well, I haven't seen Brave New World yet, but nobody's seen that. So number 1, how can you use that as an example?
Yeah.
Number 2, the Acolyte. Wow. You're using that as a defense for your argument because of quality? That doesn't seem like...
No, it's not quality. It's a defense on why continuity doesn't matter.
You can make better stories not adhering to it. Well, I don't know, man.
You'd have to show me a better story first for that argument to work.
Yeah.
The Acolyte is terrible.
Yeah, that was fun. We do have a big shout out. The newest member of the Thinking Critical Patreon family. I want to say thank you very much to Henry Swanson, aka Major Guns himself, the protector of Fortress Falls. Really appreciate that. If you would like to support us over on Think Critical Patreon, there's a link in the video description. You get lots of awesome, incredible podcasts that I think most people enjoy. Going to be adding a new show, I believe, next week, which will be a lot of fun. And we do have Lane Kramer chiming in. So I guess after the announcements this week at San Diego Comic-Con from DC, we will know what people are absolutely all out, depending on the showing, right? Har.
Yes.
I'm out.
I don't know. The Chris Condon Green Arrow is interesting. It's probably the most interesting thing because I really loved Enfield Gang Massacre. And if you can bring some of that energy over to Ollie and his post absolute power status quo, you know what I mean? Bring it.
Have
Please.
you read That Texas Blood?
No, I didn't.
You should read that in the meantime.
should read
That's
that.
his other big cowboy
And
book.
it's
That was
good,
really
right?
Mm-hmm. Same artist, same writer.
Oh, really? That's Sean Phillips' son.
Mm-hmm.
That was
I think they're brothers. Am I wrong on that one?
I
I
think
think
it's
it's his son. Yeah.
I was going to say, Sean Phillips has been in this industry for 30 some years. If his brother's only finally,
His brothers decided to join him.
yeah, like what? How fucking old is he?
I don't know. I just figured
His mom
they were brothers.
remarried.
My bad. It's still cool. He's a good artist. They got a good flavor for that stuff. But I don't know, Dylan. Are you saying hashtag all in or all out?
Partially in. We'll say that.
just the tip.
Just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip. We'll say just the tip.
Partially out.
Yeah, not all in. There's some good stuff. There's some not so exciting stuff, and that's how I feel with this. I'm kind of lukewarm on it. So,
yeah, let's get into DC Comics All In. We got the big YouTube announcement from Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson, kind of laying out what this is supposed to be. 2 separate storylines connected by one vile villain being Darkseid. And then we got the announcements of what all the new creators on the in-continuity stuff for Green Arrow, Action Comics, Detective Comics, Batman and Robin, Harley Quinn, I think Catwoman's in there. There's another book that I'm forgetting at the moment. Oh, Titans and Nightwing. And then we got the 3 big titles on Absolute Universe, Scott Snyder, which we knew Jason Aaron, and then Kelly Thompson writing those books. So what do you, as a Superman guy, do you think Darkseid is the right villain to tie all this stuff in and make one enormous story that you have to invest even more into?
I mean, it's fine. You know, this is what they always do. Darkseid's the guy, so I guess. But when it comes to the Absolute thing, I feel like they shouldn't have tried to tie it into the main universe at all. They should have just done it as its own thing. I think it's stupid. We're coming off of Absolute Power when this comes out, and then you're doing another big event, sort of. And I think they should have just launched this as its own thing with like the Trinity and just done it that way and be like, oh, if you want to pick it up, you can go pick that up. Instead of be like, no, it's all going to be connected to this. And it's going to be like an A and B plot with the main continuity. And I think that's dumb. I don't think anyone's really excited about that. And that's not a good way to launch this universe.
Isn't that defeating the purpose of an Ultimate style universe?
Exactly. Because
like you can go and make an updated version of the hero and then retell all the stories with a new twist on it.
Exactly. Yeah, it could come into this universe and be like, oh, it doesn't have all the baggage. The old universe is going to be way different. It's like, but also it's getting springboarded by the old universe. Like that.
It is what Marvel kind of did with the Ultimate stuff, though. It did start in the 616, and they are watching videos from the 60. It's kind of connected still,
but not the original.
Not the original.
No, I'm saying now. I'm saying the one now that they might be aping anyway. But you know.
Well, I think Scott Snyder's actually been working on this for like 5 years, so I don't think he's really.
No.
But I'm certain that they noticed what they were doing with their Ultimate Universe.
I do have to say, if Scott Snyder has been working on this for 5 years, and this is the best he can come up with.
I heard Sean Phillips' brother's been working on it too all those years.
I thought it was his son.
No. It is.
5 years.
Well, I think initially it was going to be like Donnie Cates and stuff in there, Doc, but obviously the creatives have changed, and it actually seems like a lot of the ideas have changed because what it was originally supposed to be was like a young, really like athletic, like agile version of Batman, and this looks anything but that. He looks like Incredible Hulk in Batman armor.
Yeah, he's giant jacked man. Also, I still am confused on how that is a bat logo. It just looks like he looks like he has just a black rectangle
license
across. Plate. Yeah, it's like a license plate on his chest.
But Rob Liefeld said it looked cool.
Look, there's a degree of cool to it, but at the same time, it is so exaggerated that it doesn't even look like the bat logo. I mean, and plus the weird strappy things on the forearm that I don't understand how those gloves work. But I mean, look, rule of cool. I'm good with it. At least for Batman. The Superman design, I think, looks dumb. Yeah. I am very uninterested in that. And how does Wonder Woman get a tattoo? I'm curious about
with an adamantium needle.
Very carefully.
Maybe she was born with it.
Because edginess. Maybe it's Maybelline. Edginess. We're lucky she didn't get it like a little bull ring septum piercing.
Oh god.
Give it until the second arc.
And a
The
side
fucking
chick.
plugs in the ears.
Yeah, look, Kelly Thompson's writing this, so you know
Yeah.
it's going to be bad.
Uh-huh.
Everything about this looks to me looks terrible. I
Wait,
think the Superman design is terrible.
So Wonder Woman got the tattoo while eating brunch.
Dude, you got it. I think it's like she's gonna be hooking up with Etta Candy, the body positive best friend. You know, because we've already gone there in Dark Knights of Steel, right? So, dude, that's totally gonna happen.
She wasn't with Etta Candy. She was with Supergirl.
Supergirl, right? Yeah, they've already So,
But
Scissor
Scissor
McTimber.
Sisters, Scissor Sisters. No, like, but honestly, if this is the best that Scott Snyder could come up with on working on this concept for 5 years, holy fucking shit!
First up, that's probably a complete and utter lie. That guy lies out of every side of his mouth. He probably's been working on this for 6 months.
No, he's been pitching this. For at least 5 years.
Pitching it is fine. Again,
I didn't say he was like putting it all together, but he's been
Yeah.
pitching it and trying to get it started for like 5 years.
Yeah. Well, at a lot of points, when he would talk to me and stuff like that, what he really was pissed off is because he wasn't the architect of the DC universe. They kept giving it to Jeff Johns and things. So this was probably why he was pitching and stuff like that. He wanted to, be the big man. Now he can be.
If this is what he comes up with, give it back to Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Well, that'd be nice.
Because I'm so tired of this like Scott Snyder, edgy dad in his 50s kind of bullshit. And that's what all this looks like, is what does a 50-year-old dad think is cool?
Yeah.
But not like, what does he think is cool himself? Like, this is the stuff that I like. What does he think the kids will be into?
Yeah,
That's what all this looks like.
When Doomsday Clock got delayed, that's when they did Metal and shifted to that. And he was all, fired up. And then he got pissed at that and stuff. But
Metal sucked.
yeah, and then Death Metal. And then whatever. And remember, it was like, he was going around with the devil horns like he was at an Iron Maiden concert that he never would have been at. I like when he started like trying to lift weights to be like Greg Capullo, and it just wasn't working.
Well, it's like I can see him like at a Hanson concert back in the day. Yeah, definitely, singing Mbop.
Yeah, oh yeah, loving it.
Bop, bop. Mm-hmm.
Why are we dissing Hanson? This guy's had a career, man.
Okay.
One song made him.
No, you know what? Apparently, like, so I was
go
seeing a girl
strong.
briefly who was a big Hanson fan, and she explained to me at length like the appeal of Hanson, and like introduced me to a bunch of their other songs, and actually, Mbop is a pretty sad song if you listen to the lyrics. But
So is that
like,
why you dated her
emo.
briefly?
I mean, look, look, I'll tell you one person that I dated briefly. First time I went to her apartment, she had a really, really pretty girl too, a really nice girl, but she had Ann Getty's portraits all over her apartment, which are those, like the babies dressed in costumes.
Yeah.
Like, here they are as dandelions. Here they are as, regular lions. And I looked around, and in my head, I just like projected forward to like us being married and me sitting in a house filled with that kind of stuff. And I was like, I can't do this. There's no way this can work.
Man, it's too bad she's been completely replaced by AI that I see all the time on Facebook now.
Oh yeah. And
look, here's a dog as a waiter.
Yeah.
Here's a little kid fighting a bull and all that kind of stuff.
Great stuff.
AI. There you go. So you're all out on DC Comics. It doesn't even matter if All In's good, right, Sparrow?
Well, it's not going to be. This is just another desperation play. I said on Twitter that I think I said to Josh and Sully that Scott Snyder continues to find the anti-hype equation. This just looks awful to me. So no, I wouldn't be picking this up even if I was going to support DC. But as I said, I don't want to support DC so long as they continue to empower Mark Waid to be the awful human being that he is. So yeah, I'm all out. No, we have had some people in the chat make some points that there are some good people at DC that, still deserve support. So I reserve the right to amend a little bit, maybe still support like a Jeremy Adams book or something by Joshua Williamson. I am really happy to see that they're giving Dan Mora over to Josh Williamson as his artist and getting him away from Mark Waid so that, we might be able to really see Dan Mora shine and
he won't get the Clayman treatment.
Yeah, he won't get the Clayman.
Tom King's done with him. No one likes him.
Yeah, it's like it's like they just shackled poor Clayman, who's an amazing artist, to Tom King, and now like they're doing it to poor Daniel Sampere. Like I see his Wonder Woman art and I see his covers and I'm like, God, he's so good. Why would you ever give him just such a hack. But that's what they do over at DC. You know, instead of pairing their good writers with who are not fantagonistic with their best artists, they give their best artists to their biggest douchebags.
Well, it's the same thing Marvel does. Marvel does the exact same thing. They pair up because they think that one, like the either the talent or the general goodwill of the one will balance out the lack of talent or bad will from the other.
Well, they also removed the artist after only 2 or 3 issues. That's what we're getting with Stegman on X-Men, Doc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Stegman gone.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's gone after 3 issues. I laugh. I mean, it's not quite as laughably bad as the bait and switch on Return of Wolverine, where you only got
2 issues of Return of Wolverine.
You got McNiven on the first and the last issue, and Declan fucking Shalvey, like the poster child for Milquetoast on the ones in the middle.
Yeah. Thankfully, DC
Well, at least they didn't
don't
let
do that nearly
Shelby.
as much.
At least they didn't let Shelby write it like Thundercats.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Or aliens.
No,
Yeah,
they
this is
instead
bad
let oh god, who's that?
Charles Soule.
Yeah, the lawyer that can't write for shit. Yeah.
Oh, he ain't all
He's
that.
got a really good Darth Vader series that was awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, this month's Star Wars wasn't all that bad.
You're still
Star
reading
Wars
Star
48.
Wars?
Yeah, why not?
Your definition of all that bad and everyone else's are not exactly the same.
I tried to
Sully, I
jump
love
back
you.
in on Dark Droids, and I couldn't do it. It was so bad. Have you been reading Star Wars all the way through there, Dylan? I know you're an awesome, huge Star Wars fan as well.
Yeah, no, I stopped reading Star Wars a while ago. The only one that I kept up with was Bounty Hunters because I like the main character in that, but that ended now. So that ended a while ago. So I haven't
Yeah,
read
once
it.
they had that Bounty Hunter War event thing, it
Wars
really
for the
fucked up
Bounty
that.
Hunters. Yeah, messed
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
messed that
it's
series up.
sad. Yeah, that event sucked, and there hasn't really been anything with Star Wars that I've been excited about for a while as far as the comics go.
There's a new Ewok miniseries coming out.
Boom.
Yeah.
YouTube is censoring my comments to the chat.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Because
Are they?
Because you're too you, man, you know?
Are you
Well,
getting?
now
are
I
you
have
getting it
proof.
too,
I'm
Scully?
not deleting anything. It's YouTube that's
Mhm.
doing it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely YouTube. There's a bunch of for some reason it wouldn't let me say set sail for Cheddar Bay biscuits. I had to amend it
I
and put
read
R
that.
mateys in front of it.
I saw
Well, no,
that.
I had to put R mateys in front of it.
Okay.
And now I just said in the chat to Bravo Dave, because he said I was responding to something he said. I said if Wade could push a button and kill everyone he doesn't like, he would. Mostly because he could do it from behind a screen, from a keyboard, which is the only place he has any balls.
I
Always
just like that
kill.
YouTube isn't censoring you when you talk like a pirate.
Yeah. No pirate speak on this platform.
No, man, that'd be awful.
We were talking about Star Wars there for a minute. There's an issue of Star Wars Visions I think that you would like, but it's a
Mhm.
one and done.
Yeah.
Where they got a manga
Yeah.
artist to come in and do like a samurai
Yeah.
Sith guy. That was really cool. But
They got a new title called Star Wars Inquisitors, and it's made just for Disney Star Wars fans who want to torture the old fans.
Sounds about right.
Arg.
I read the first issue. I did not like it.
No,
I was excited too because I think Rodney Barnes is really talented, but he never gets a chance on an actual real book. I don't know, or is he talented, Jim? Is Philadelphia is good up to issue what, 10 or
10.
12?
Yeah, I'd say about 10. But it was really good though up until that point. And yeah, I like it. It's weird. I like Philadelphia, but again, it's almost like I say about The Simpsons. Is I think I like less seasons than I actually like. So if, I don't know if I'm a fan, but everything Rodney Barnes does past Philadelphia is kind of a little mid. But I still think he's good.
Yeah. Getting back to DC Comics All In, we did get one big name. You mentioned it earlier, Sully. We got Chris Condon on the Green Arrow book.
Yeah.
But we're also getting Philip Kennedy Johnson and Javier Fernandez on Batman and Robin. I was kind of excited about both of those.
Kinda. I mean, I haven't been the biggest Batman and Robin fan. I like Joshua Williamson's writing. It got better as like issue 1 through 6 went around, but I just couldn't get my head around the Simone DeMeo art. And it's good art, but it's too digital. And then everything is just that purple color, that purple pink color. I call it everqueer, and it's everywhere in these books. And it's like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purple and pink. It's bisexual lighting, and it's been there for
a couple years now.
A couple of years. It drives people up the fucking wall. It looks like goddamn mud.
If your comic book looks like Prince Adam's costume, it's bisexual.
Or a cover of Prince.
Yeah, there you go.
But all in. I mean, who came up with that phrase, all in? Because this is your trade dress. This is what you've decided on. And I think it's the wine aunt, chick from marketing, that like overheard her niece and her cheerleader friends. They're like, I'll take you to Lululemon, kids. Oh, all in, auntie. That's where this comes from. Some chick had to have written this. No man would have.
No, it's just Scott Snyder's a huge AEW fan, and he's like, you know what?
Yes.
I want the fans to be all in. Because AEW is the greatest.
Man, you really you have a chip on your shoulder about AEW the same way I do about Tinny Howard.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. Because
that's one thing. Yeah, keep
Tony
going.
Khan owes me $80.
Yeah.
And until I get that $80, there is not a cheap shot that I will not take at AEW. I went to those events. I supported that company, and what did he do in return? He started giving me shitty product, and he gave me a shitty, broken, unfinished video game, and tried to pretend like it was complete. So, F Tony Khan, F AEW. I want my $80 back.
Now, the all in, you'll be happy to know, Doc, there's not any real mention of Teenie Howard.
Good.
She seems like she's a little bit all
out.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's why everybody's going. Have you seen they're all going through this insecurity phase on Twitter?
Yeah.
Because they're not getting work anymore. Because even the companies have realized we can't keep just their name on a title. Yeah, their name on a title is death right out of the gate. It's not even we don't even get a couple of issues out of them before things tank. We don't get that first issue bump, so we can just spam it out. It just as soon as their name is on a book, your Mags Massagios, your Vita Ayalas, your Danny Lores, as soon as who I'm sure is got a Ko-Fi up right now for it's another one of those days that ends in Y. I need some food stuffies. Thank you. Give them my Ko-Fi instead of here's what they all need. Instead of giving them money to their Ko-Fi, just send them a photo of a job application.
Or just a job application.
Yeah.
Just send them the link to the McDonald's hiring portal.
Mm-hmm. That's what they should be flooded with every time they go on and beg. I agree, Doc.
I feel like that would be probably best for them, best for us. It would be the compassionate thing to do.
Here's the world's smallest violin playing for all the comic book writers. Learn the fucking type.
But
listen, the best thing in the world for Joe Glass would be for him to give up being a full-time comic book writer. It's never going to happen. And that's not a particular dig for you. That is just a general truth for most people that want to be comic book writers. Being a full-time writer that you can and making a living off of it, it's not going to happen for you. So go get a regular job. It will give you a much needed dose of self-esteem and feeling like you're taking control of your life, and not being a sad sack on Twitter, and then that extra self-esteem that you have, you can maybe take a look at your product, take a look at what you're doing wrong, realize that writing to a niche audience of 3% of an even more niche audience is never going to move enough books to make you profitable, and maybe start writing some books that actually appeal to a mainstream audience and have a little bit of success as a side gig, as a hobby. That is the best advice that I can give you. Stop being a sad sack on Twitter. Stop whining. Stop begging for people. Nobody likes a beggar. Nobody likes it. It's people are compassionate and people will help when they've seen that you've made an effort and that you are actually out there and you're having hard times. People are generous and people will help. When you're constantly a sad sack on Twitter talking about, I'm sure depressed Joe sure would make me happy if somebody bought a bookie. People are grossed out. They don't want to be connected to that. So for God's sakes, be a man, get a real job, and start making something that somebody wants.
It's taking every ounce of my self-control to not make a comment about Joe Glass and being a man.
But what if? But hear me out, Doc. What if you didn't hold back?
I'm pretty sure Wes wouldn't have a channel, and I don't like doing that when he's not here. I wait until he's here so that he can see the horror of the oncoming freight train. But no, look, I mean, there's a lot of these creators that I feel like we finally reached the point where a lot of the folks that had some sort of a imposter syndrome are actually vocal about it. Because you had a bunch of people that actually fell for believe their own hype. Like, I think everybody else, because this is like the 6th phase of these nobodies that have ended up in comics that got promoted far beyond their station in life, and beyond their talent, and then have gotten, abandoned by the industry just to be replaced by the next round of the same incompetent buffoons. These are the first ones that actually just they bought into it, and they actually, I think everyone else before this kind of realized they were charity cases, that they were the fucking Make-A-Wish kids of the comics industry. And then whenever their 15 minutes passed, they accepted it. These are the first ones that actually thought that they earned their way in. And it would be really mean to point and laugh at them, but I'm still going to point and laugh at them.
You'll be mean.
Yes.
I feel like we fell off a DC All In and started talking about Vita Ayala or something.
Hey,
Joe Glass.
you left, man. You weren't here to herd the ducklings, and we went off on our own.
All right, well, let's get back on some DC Comics All In. We got all these new creative teams.
I mean,
You said, Dylan, that you're in just a little bit. What is it that actually has you thinking, yeah, that's what I'm going to go check out?
I'm happy that Tom Taylor is off of Nightwing, so I'm optimistic for Dan Waters. I don't know if he's gonna do great or not. I love Dexter Soy, so I'm happy to actually be excited about Nightwing again, though, because it's been a long time since I've been looking forward to picking up a Nightwing book. So I'm excited for that. I'm optimistic for Green Arrow as well. I'm hoping that's good. We know Superman will continue to be a pretty book at least, so I'm happy about that. What else is there for the for All In? I'm trying to think of the other creative.
I thought you would like Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh yes,
Batman Robin.
Philip Kennedy Johnson, Batman Ron. Thanks for reminding. Yes,
Yep.
that's like probably what I'm most excited for as far as like new creative teams go. I'm super excited to see what he does with Batman and Robin. He always does big epic story arcs, and his world building's insane. So I'm excited to see what he does there. That's probably it for All In, because I'm not excited about Action. I couldn't care less about Harley Quinn and Catwoman with their like new creative teams. So yeah, it's probably those are probably the 3 that I'm like I'm looking forward to the most.
You're not up for Titans?
I haven't. The new creative team doesn't excite me. Like I might check out the first issue just to be like, all right, let's see. But it's not something that I'm really excited for. At least Tom Taylor's off of it.
I mean,
That's like the big thing on 2 books, but he's on Detective now, which I think, I don't know.
I don't know why he gets rewarded with that. Tom Taylor is like the type of guy that it seems like when he's on an Elseworlds book, he can do good, but when he's on a main continuity book, it feels like he thinks he has some responsibility to society to make some big change, to be like, okay, this is really I'm gonna solve homelessness with this Nightwing book. You guys just don't get it.
I even see when he did Injustice, and even after that, a lot of the books that he did, he became known as the guy who kills all the characters. Even when he was doing Suicide Squad, and I think that really got to him. And he goes from killing all the characters to his heroes not being able to punch anybody. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't get me excited when they even said, in the little blurb, he's going to go back and retcon Batman's origin. Like,
again, no.
How do you have an event and expect people to be excited when all you've done is you've taken your bad creatives from the last 5 years and just shuffled them?
It is a shuffle. I the only thing that I could say is a lot of the books are really, really stale, and maybe you'll get some lightning in a bottle from some of these. So I'm kind of at least optimistic that way. But it is a shuffling for the most part.
See, I want to be excited or optimistic about Dan Waters on Nightwing, but Destro came out this week, I was like, I don't know. It was
You didn't
kind of
like
a weird
issue 2?
book. He's kind of all over the place. Like, I get what he was doing with the parallel narratives where they both thought they were
Yeah.
winning, but Jimmy would talk about it. It's like playing it out for 20 pages straight kind of ruined the
It's
joke.
too much. Yeah, the joke. It was one of those jokes that kept hitting you. It's like a Saturday Night Live skit. Goes on for too long.
But, so you thought Destro was awesome?
I liked Destro number 2. I thought it was much. I didn't really care for the first issue, but I thought number 2 was pretty good. I liked it.
But certainly, Dan Waters has done a lot of work with Batman. He was doing more stuff with Azrael, though.
Yeah,
but we'll never.
That
see
was
that
pretty
character
good.
again.
That was pretty good miniseries. It kind of got wonky at the end, but a lot too. But it was pretty good.
He did that Doomsday one shot, didn't he? That with Supergirl and Martian Manhunter.
Going to
Yeah,
hell?
yeah.
Yeah, I
one
really
with-
liked
yeah.
that one shot.
That
That
was
was really good. Yeah.
And that kind of sets up, some of the things coming up. So that was really good. That was really good.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked how good that was.
Same, yeah. I randomly picked that up. I think that was the first Dan Waters thing I actually read.
Mhm.
Oh, this is actually really good. So.
It was the Action Comics Doomsday Special, I think is what they called it. And I was like, I think it came out on Annuals Week or something like that. And it was good though.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, what are you excited about? You and I have to read more of this stuff than most people, being reviewers and with all the podcasts, the videos, and everything. What were you like? Well, at least that's gonna be good.
I have hopes for just the same as Dylan said, most of the things there. And Philip Kennedy Johnson, I want to see him do something with, a Batman and Robin with a family dynamic like that, because he does those epic things. I want to see what he does when he kind of scales it back at points too. I think the thing is, I don't get that excited or I don't yell, I'm not going to read it. I'm all in, all out until the books come out. I end up being pretty, mid keel deal, but, I said it, things were getting very stale. The Nightwing, and it's funny because Titans hasn't even been around that long, and it's getting so stale. And Nightwing has gotten overly stale, so I'm looking forward to those. And even though nobody cares, I'm actually looking forward to Teenie Howard being off of Catwoman and Harley Quinn as well. On our podcast, we try to cover every book. We had to drop Harley. It was that bad. We're still doing that awful Catwoman, but I'm
9 lives.
Yeah, it's fun. The thing is, Harley, I couldn't take her writing on it, but Catwoman is so bad in kind of a funny way that you can laugh at it every time it comes out. So that's that. But I basically I'm excited that there is something going on because everything has felt stale. Maybe get some people involved. I don't know. It seems like not a lot of people are into it. Which is kind of sad, but I'll be reading every book. I'm excited, really excited about Green Arrow, though. That actually is like, in a weird way, is I think they don't realize how many people are probably excited about that because it's new. It's something different. It's not a shuffling. So it's pretty cool.
But how many of these fucking books are there?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Absolute Martian Manhunter by Dennis Camp. Because I need to be told, I love activism in comics.
Mhm.
I can't get enough of it.
Oh, wait till we hear about how the Martians, why this and that happened because of social problems.
He's an immigrant, and he's going to be, looked down upon by the, and he's just there to make change.
He's a shapeshifter because he's never been able to be himself.
And really, the white Martians and what happened on their planet, it's really just going to be a commentary on MAGA. Is what we're going to do because we haven't seen that before. That's a fresh take, right?
Yeah.
That'll be
Yeah,
fun.
the privileged white Martians. They did it all.
Are you excited for Teenie Howard on Justice League?
No,
I'm not breaking news here, but she's got to be on a book. We know Justice League is going to come out, right? They wouldn't do that, would they, Jim?
No. I think that if they still do things with Teenie Howard, it'll be young adult stuff or maybe a Black Label book or something like that. I think she just can't sell a book, and I think she's out.
You'll get Stephanie Phillips. You'll get Stephanie Phillips on Justice League.
Yeah. And when Stephanie Phillips shows up, you'll hope Brian Azzarello is actually writing it, but then he isn't, and then you're disappointed.
Are they still together?
I don't know.
They broke up.
I know. I think so.
Maybe they did break up. Maybe that's why we're getting back to Stephanie Phillips writing.
I saw a picture of them together, and I thought that it was just a picture of her like taking her grandpa out.
Yeah,
from
that's what it
from
looked
the
like.
retirement community. For the day.
He was heading off for his kidney.
So these are so awful. You're about to be an old man, Sparrow.
I
You're
am an
gonna
old
be
man.
hoping people accept you with a nice young lady.
Listen, here's the thing. I'm already an old man in my spirit.
Is an old soul.
I told Salvani last night. He goes, wow, that was grumpy, and I was like, yeah, I'm a grumpy old man. I don't know if you've realized it, but I've embraced it. I used to be so optimistic, and then like the last 2 years of entertainment like really just broke me.
What else? What about the absolute side of this all-in stuff, Sully? What's got you excited there? We got Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta on Absolute Batman. I'm sorry. Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval on the Superman side. We got Kelly Thompson on Wonder Woman with an artist I can't remember who it was. Those are the only ones that have been confirmed, but we're hearing Jeff Lemire on Flash, Al Ewing on Green Lantern, Dennis Camp on Martian Manhunter. I'm assuming Che Grayson will be Harley Quinn, but that hasn't been confirmed yet.
To be sure, absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm with Jim on this. I will read them, and I'll decide then if it's worth my money. I will go back and spend my money on them. But everything off, especially with Superman and Batman, it seems just off recipe right from the beginning. And I know we're trying a dynamic new approach. They have a new origin. You know, Superman falling to Earth as a teenager takes away his most salient and important part. It's the values, the American farm ethics and values that Kent's instilled in this boy and raised him with. That's what makes him Superman. It's not his powers. Well, it is his powers, but it's his upbringing. You take that aspect away from Superman every time, you're left with Homelander, Ultraman. You're left with the entire litany of the OP character that it just, you know, it lacks that humanity. It lacks the super compassion, you know, and that for me is my favorite Superman part, is his big heart, and they're taking that away from him to make him look edgy. And I will say this much of the design of the costume. The one thing that I love about it is the Super S. I think it's got a really nice design. I think it's pretty tight and spot on, but the colors are all muted. Of course, once again, I've been making jokes all week, like communism, like, oh, it'll work this time. Yes, we've taken away his glorious red trunks. It'll stick this time. You know, no. And then with Batman, making him poor? I mean,
he won't have technology.
Yeah, and he'll have to, you know, be a bit more inventive, you know, and you know what? That's Zur-En-Arrh. Literally, Batman stripped down and using garbage.
I think he's just using steroids now. I think that's the difference.
He's the king of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, so it just deviates way too far from the original recipe. It's new Coke,
and he's definitely using steroids.
He's definitely,
it's just the opposite.
He is so jacked.
It's the Last Jedi of everything that you love, where you just come in and you go, but what if we didn't do the thing? What if we just did the exact opposite of what people expect? Mm-hmm. So what do people think of when they think of Batman? Oh, Bruce Wayne's a millionaire. Well, what if he's poor? You know, what if it's
finally? I mean, we've taken away his privilege. We've taken away his power. You know,
and we'll see. He might get so edgy that he ends up killing people. Who knows?
Ooh,
but it's just this is the depth, guys. Scott Snyder is the Emperor's clothes. It's like they keep expecting him to come in and to be able to craft something, and yeah, it'll get like momentary hype at comic book stores. The retailers will buy into it. They'll buy multiple copies. It'll look like a success, and then a year from now, you'll be plucking those out of the dollar bin.
The funny thing,
because they won't have sold.
I always said the same thing about Tom King. It kind of goes with him as well. Like everybody's, you know, so hyped up and whatever, and then it's just the same old.
Yeah, it's like everybody's expecting like, oh, this is going to be amazing, and then they just get another wet fart.
Ooh,
Nick Dragotta on Batman art should be amazing.
It's beautiful art.
Yeah, really that'd be good. But Clayman is on Tom King books, and you know, like it's just.
I don't know.
I'm just
Dylan,
I was just going to say I'm waiting for the storyline that like the Court of the Eagles or something. He'll end up just throw shit like that back.
Just go over to My Little Pony and just do a book called One Trick Pony, and then that'll be it.
All right, Dylan, who draws a more sexy Lois Lane than Clayman?
You're hard pressed to find anyone.
Man.
Clayman draws a perfect Lois Lane. It's just
but she's got that like shirt on and all that stuff in the
in the doorway. Yeah.
was pretty good.
Clayman also drew a very sexy dead Poison Ivy, but that's beside the point. He got in trouble for that. For all you people out there who are into that.
So, Jim, when you're driving down the street and you see a place that says live nudes, you're like, nah, not that
I'm
one.
like, what? No, I turn left to the graveyard. There's my deal. I'm throwing dollar bills at gravestones. Come on, baby. Oh yeah,
That's a visual.
yes.
But it's been
Dancing
successful
around.
at least. With getting people to read DC books. They've lost so much market share and stuff as of late. So they needed to do something. So I'm happy about that.
One thing I like, the DC Comics on Twitter, the DC at DC Official, they didn't have anything going on from November 2023 to a couple of weeks ago. Seriously, they didn't mention any of their comic books, none of these events, and now, boom, here they are. They must have changed up their social media manager. Now you've got all the creators are, circling the wagons, supporting each other, really pimping what's going on. I follow all of them, and my timeline has been filled with All In for the past, couple of days, and it's from Snyder, it's from Thompson, it's from everyone that's involved, and I think that's really good because we're always talking about where's the marketing behind this? Why don't people know about this? Well, here it is. They're finally, turning it back on and trying to make people aware. Hey, we got something interesting coming your way. Try it, and I can really respect that, and I like that part.
I like
Did
that
you
you're one of the
hashtag
few
go all
people
in?
here.
I only hashtag renew the acolyte. Okay.
Oh.
I like that you're one of the few people on this panel that isn't blocked by Kelly Thompson. Apparently,
I was blocked by her for 5 minutes, and I took my Plaid Palpatine sock puppet account, and I was like, Ms. Thompson, I never had a negative interaction with you. How am I supposed to buy Scarlet now? And you know what? She unblocked me, and that was.
And then you didn't buy Scarlet.
No, I did.
Then you bought it and hated and blocked her.
Oh no. But no, I followed her. I think a big part of being immune to group blocks maybe is that you didn't follow them in the first place. So
yeah, she's one of the few people who haven't blocked me.
Mm.
I've asked her questions at points. She never answers me, but that's fine.
well, you keep asking. So Scarlet, they're lovers, right?
Yeah,
Scarlet and Jinx, they're lovers, right?
She doesn't.
No, they're
when
fighters.
is Scarlet gonna not suck? She never answered me. I don't know why.
I saw her push back on you a couple of times. That was fun.
Sucks. Yeah, she does actually, but she hasn't blocked me. She has, given me some crap in the past.
But that's good. Like I think that's the way to go. Push. You can push back and still keep your customer base.
Yeah.
Stephanie Phillips tried to get Sus Gabe fired.
Yeah. Fired.
Did she really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then it would be me who would, I guess I said, I don't know how you fire a guy when he's not making any money and he's doing it just for the hell of it. But yeah, she went on and just went nuts about it and lied. A lot of the things she said were complete and utter lies too.
Well, I mean, that's what angry white feminists do, right?
Yeah.
Is they just make stuff up.
Yep.
Yeah. What else was there? Oh, the other big thing during the Josh Williamson, I guess Scott Snyder YouTube thing was they were trying to impart that the Absolute Universe will be a new take on DC, whereas normally in continuity DC comics are, fueled by Superman energy, hope, whereas Absolute Comics will be fueled by dark side energy, whatever the opposite of hope is, I guess.
Anti-life.
Wait. So you're telling me that Scott Snyder's just going to do the opposite?
Yeah. I love Aaron's anti-hype equation. I was thinking of that since that's what he does.
But I was like, isn't that what DC Comics have been since Dark Knight's Metal exclusively?
Yeah.
It's all been the Dark Multiverse and Dark Crisis and Night Terrors and You're the Villain and Dark Knight's Death Metal. It's just been no hope, no hope, no hope. The last time we got hope was Rebirth, but that only lasted for like 18 years or 18 months.
The
New 52 was hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
No, so Scott Snyder is the despair lantern of the DC universe.
He's the sad lantern.
Well,
He's
we've
the
been
sad
running
one.
on-
Well, he's the. Is cowardice on the emotional spectrum? Because as soon as anybody looks cross-eyed at him, that might get him in trouble. With the mob, he's
the
gonna back
cringe
down.
core.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's funny.
But yeah, I thought that was a weird promise to make, Dylan, because I was like, it feels like that's what all of DC Comics has been because of you for 5 years.
Yeah, it was weird when he mentioned Doomsday Clock. I was like, they're allowed to mention Doomsday Clock? I thought they completely abandoned everything to do with that. So that was weird to hear him mention that. But yeah, it's on Dark Side Energy, and that's going to make it way different, apparently, than how things have been with all these events where, yeah, everything's dark and there's no hope. So I don't get how it's supposed to be any different, or how that's supposed to really get anyone excited or hyped. Who's really going to be like, oh man, I'm really excited for the Absolute Universe. It's running on Dark Side Energy.
Tortured.
Yeah, that looks cool. I don't get
I
it.
want to see Superman hung from his fingernails. That'll be a fun.
Well,
moment.
that's what it's just to get the kids in, because Scott Snyder knows that maybe the kids will say, "Oh, this book is giving Darkseid," and then he'll be hip. He'll have the Riz.
It slaps.
Don't like that.
It'll slap.
All in.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, so I thought that was a weird promise considering the state of the DC Comics universe. I think the promise I think a lot of people want, Sully, is that we're going to get back to the best versions of the heroes again, get them all together and tell the coolest stories that we can that make sense for the characters, but they forgot to promise that part. It seems like they're just going to keep deviating.
But that was the whole promise of Dawn of DC, what 18 months ago? And this has been a pretty long dawn. Shouldn't we be into like at least Second Breakfast by now?
Well, it was 3 months of Dawn of DC, and then we had to take a break for a bunch of crossovers.
Night Terrors.
Night Terrors.
That was a weird one. But yeah, Dawn of DC, and even in there, you really only got two or three titles that were felt hopeful. Maybe the Superman from Williamson, Green Lantern from Jeremy Adams, but all the other books were like super duper dark.
I wonder what the DC universe would look like if they were like, "Hey, Jeremy Adams, why don't you draft up? Why don't you, like, let's say you're the architect. Why don't you draft up what you would do with the DC universe and see what he came up with?"
That's too good of an idea.
Like, you should just at least take pitches.
Dude.
From, don't just go to Scott Snyder, who just does the same thing over and over. It's going to be dark. It's going to be gritty.
No, you got to bring back Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and you got to or that Alex Toth kind of design, to bring some just. We had a Batman who laughed and smiled. It was before Frank Miller. It's like that's what the Batman I grew up with. Come on, chum. Just how about that? No, that's not going to sell. Says who?
I don't know if anybody's wanting like Adam West Batman again. That might be a bridge too far.
There is a Batman 66 book if you want.
Yeah.
That. Like, you can certainly do that. You can certainly, attempt different flavors that are outside of continuity, but in your mainline continuity, it would be nice to see DC be hopeful again. I would like to see the DC universe be bright. That was one of the things that attracted me to the DC universe in the first place, is that, yes, the Batman books were, darker and grittier because of the, urban decay that Batman lives in. But, your Superman books, your Green Lantern books, all of those things were more hopeful heroes. And they looked brighter. When you opened those books, it filled you with happiness. And it just doesn't do that anymore. There's so few books that actually do that.
Well, even Nightwing, who obviously is in a similar setting as Batman, is a much more optimistic and hopeful character than Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, those Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel Nightwing books, that you go back to those. I go back and I reread them every now and then, and it's so night and day to what we get now. Nightwing actually did things. He actually stopped the criminal. God. You didn't have a guy who was, even Blockbuster, who was the big bad for so long in that book, was kind of like the kingpin-like figure that was pulling the strings behind the scenes. Things actually happened. Nightwing actually confronted him. He stopped him from doing things, even though he couldn't bring him down completely. Whereas, it wasn't like you had all this time where Heartless is just doing his thing, but it's okay because Nightwing's building statues and giving speeches.
Mm-hmm.
Giving speeches that are just Tom Taylor's voice coming out of Nightwing instead of Nightwing speaking in his own.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That was the big news. It should be dominating all the conversations really around San Diego Comic-Con when it comes to comic books. Marvel really has nothing to compete with it appears. Maybe we'll get some stuff from some indie publishers. Do you have any final words on this one, Dylan? I know you're the big DC guy.
I don't think this is what we were really looking forward to. What the DC fans needed was another event or initiative. We've had so many over the past few years. I think if they just would have scaled down and really gotten some premier talent on these things to get excited about instead of more of a reshuffling. There's a few in there that are new, but for the most part, just a reshuffling. And this universe just feels like what if we did Earth 1 again, but a bit more focused? And I don't think that's really like a pitch that gets people super excited or what we needed. But I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not expecting the best. And I don't think this is the big thing that DC needs to actually like push them to the forefront to get people excited. I don't think this is the thing that's going to get a lot of new readers coming in or returning readers back to DC that left.
All right, Jim, I know you're also more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. What's your final word on DC All In and all the information?
Same kind of thing. I'm going to wait and see. But again, you want to come out with something that people are like, oh my God, that's so crazy different. But I don't know that there's any other writers out there that they can get. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great writers anymore. And I don't know. It just feels like a shuffling, but I'm optimistic that some of these will hit because some of the reshuffling, like a Philip Kennedy Johnson and some of the others, even Dan Waters and stuff, might end up being pretty good.
And if Jeff Lemire on Flash is real, I'm
yeah, that's pretty cool in that. And the absolute stuff, I really are like kind of. I'm going to wait and see with that stuff, but I'm with Dylan too because I was excited when Jeff Lemire said that he was going to be back. Doing some stuff at DC. So that's pretty cool and something to get excited about.
I just realized something, Jim, and I think this is going to make you very, very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Ram V declared himself all in.
Oh,
that means he's on an all-in book. We haven't seen the new creative team for Justice League.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
he did a decent JLD when he came in for Tynan, but I don't know. Maybe it'll just be a JLD book. It'll be back or something like that because they are pushing in all the events. You end up getting the JLD together. I'd go for that. I'd actually, have something, or if it's just a side book that I don't have to read, that would be even better.
Absolute Constantine sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Rampy is not my favorite. He does kind of bore me, but maybe it'll be something that excites him.
And then last up, we do have Sully, the most optimistic voice in the Thinking Critical community. What are you feeling about this as a final word?
I take things on an issue-by-issue basis. Like going forward, avoid all the Mark Waid stuff. You know what I mean? Sorry, Mark. You know what I mean? Just that's it. And but when it comes to all absolute, I'll definitely check them all out. Pirated, of course, but I will always go back and spend my money on these floppies because I love monthly comic books and I love going to my local comic book shop. I love being part of, the symbiotic thing between the reader and the shop. We keep each other open, and because they're local bookstore. I mean, they're independent bookstores, and only we can help keep our local comic book shops open. By going there and spending our money there. So if the offerings are good, I take chances. I got stacks of comic books over there. I'm like trying to add it up like, wow, this was a waste of $300 at $5 each. But you know what? You took a bunch of chances on a bunch of comic books that just, you felt for, like, hey, look, you look interesting. Let me check you out. So I'll be happy I'll read them all. But will I spend my money on them? That's another question.
Very nice.
Is that Sully's pickup line? Is he's like, "Hey, you look interesting. I'll check you out."
Exactly.
I'll give you a shot,
but I won't spend money on you.
Yeah, no spending.
Not until I'm.
Also, the idea with one issue at a time.
A Red Lobster.
Cheddar
For
Bay.
the people, Adam Frey, what's the meaningful difference between Absolute, Elseworlds, Tangent, Earth One, Black Label, and every other bonus continuity?
It's got a different name.
Yeah.
That's literally it at this point. I guess Absolute's supposed to be its own universe.
It's connected.
Yeah, like all of the Absolute books theoretically take place in the same universe.
So did Earth One.
Earth One did too. Black Label, I think, was supposed to still take place initially. It was going to be like their max. And then
their Elseworlds.
And then it became their Elseworlds. Now Elseworlds and Black Label are exactly the same. Tangent was its own universe too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And this is
One.
just New 52 redo.
That's
But
what
happening at the
reminded me a
same
lot.
time. Yeah. The Wonder Woman costume definitely reminded me of New 52, but with tattoos.
Earth One
The
kinda died in
Elseworld
the
stuff
box.
is weird too, because if you write a good Elseworld story, they just act like it happened in continuity.
Yeah.
Like,
Eventually, they just absorb it in.
yeah. It does get frustrating. I don't even know what their plans are with all that stuff. We've got like comic books for 8-year-olds being called Black Label now, and I just I don't even understand it.
But
The
once again,
bastard,
DC is just trying to copy Marvel. It's like, hey, the Ultimate thing is a success. Let's try to do that.
Again,
the Bastards Network Morning Gents said F it and bought 15 of the DC Showcase 500-page paperbacks last night. Modern day DC is a travesty that not even Williamson could make better. Man, did you get the Showcase, Jonah Hetz? That's the question, right?
well, honestly, get those Showcase. I mean, look, I don't see any reason why anybody should want to read Modern when they can just go and read those Showcase ones. I always thought were really good, the same way I thought the Marvel, was it Masterworks, that just reprinted the entire fucking series in black and white.
Yeah. I'm just wondering who ever thought that Williamson was going to make anything better. I mean, his events have been fucking garbage, so I don't know why you're hanging your hat on him.
Well,
House
events
of Brainiac was fine.
What's that?
House of Brainiac was fine.
Yeah, that I'm talking about Dark Knights or Dark Crisis, or the other one, Dark Crisis on Ultimate. You know,
Here's the thing with
Ultimate
the here's the thing with the events, though, is that, you know, a guy can come in with a pitch and go, I've got this idea for a story, and it'll be, you know, 6 issues, and it'll take place over, you know, this amount of time, and then editorial goes, we can turn that into an event. So you know.
Oh, there's also his awful Batman and Robin, his terrible Green Arrow. You know, he's
okay. So you're saying even like singular things.
He's not the guy who's going to save anything.
He's hitting this for you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but his villain book for Flash or whatever was pretty good. The Rogues.
Rogues.
So if he's batting 500, like, is that the guy that you want to bet on?
That
I understand what Jim is saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's not the guy who I thought was going to save everything.
But when he's on something that it seems like he's passionate about,
and
obviously being the architect on the
legitimately
was the side of Energon, you know, it seems like
awesome there.
Yeah, he really knocks it out of the park.
His
there,
Duke book is my favorite book of the year still. It was so good. But yeah, DC, I just think they elevated him too high for what he had.
Or they're stretching him too thin.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of books. Wraith X7, instead of making the Absolute line another grim dark line, they should have made it a layered all ages line that reinvented the DC characters.
Just do Justice League Unlimited. Just make your DC universe that. It's the most successful version of the DC universe. It took everything that was good and, you know, distilled it. And they've got a roadmap. They had a roadmap for the movies with Justice League Unlimited. They have a roadmap for the universe, and they just don't take it. They go, well, Scott Snyder, what do you got? And he's like,
Dark Multiverse.
A billion years ago, cosmic forces and everything's gritty and dark side energy. And they're like, yeah, let's hang our hat on that one.
You know, the Green Lanterns accidentally broke the source wall and let the Dark Multiverse in, and now everything's dark. Like, yeah, I got it.
By the way, Scott Snyder, if you're listening and anything I say upsets you, please just call and complain to Josh McDonald.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. He deserves it. Josh is running the show here. Trevor Pearl Harbor, sending them a Tube 3 link on a coding tutorial. I'm assuming that's the YouTube guys that keep deleting comments. And this is something I'm hearing a lot more. Is that the other? Is anyone else hear that on the YouTubes? Is that something you're noticing, Sully?
Specifically on your video that you did with Aaron the other day, that ate up mostly everyone's first comment, and I think it was because of the wording in the topic. I think that maybe was the red flag, you know, because of the other side of the aisle.
I don't know. I'm seeing it more and more. It's kind of weird. Are they eating up your comments too, Dylan?
Yeah, I've had it happen. I haven't heard anything lately, but yeah, it's been an ongoing issue. I'll say that.
Yeah. Mr. DC Comics Absolute Universe, I am completely burnt out on the multiverse stories from DC. How many different versions of Batman do you need? Tired of the multiverse.
Yep.
Where's Robert Venditti in this mix? Has he been offered any absolute work? Because he's like the best that's going on over there, in my humble opinion. He knows how to write these people.
They still
don't do
haven't said
nothing.
who's going to do the JLA when that continues, supposedly.
If they do another Superman 78, I'm sure he'll be the one doing it. But he's just a completely underutilized talent because Tini Howard's. It's not even the flavor of the week. I guess it's the flavor of the decade. I don't get it.
Do you think that Teeny, do you think that Leah Williams, do you think that this is a serious question now? Do you think that any of these writers could deliver a satisfying book? Jim, let me finish.
Okay. No.
The question could have been, do you think any one of them could drive a car into into a post, like, by not
No,
paying
they're not that
attention?
good.
They'd miss it.
They'd miss it.
Screw up the ending.
If that was the objective, they would screw it up. No, but do you think any of them could possibly deliver a satisfying reading experience if they had an editor that cared?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They might upset them and they'd have to keep going back to the drawing board, and then the editor
Mhm.
would finally just write some things themselves. But yeah, I think they would.
I think that a lot of these writers, like for example, like Stephanie Phillips, like she understands the craft of writing. She puts together a script and it is a workable script. What she doesn't understand is dialogue that's convincing, characters being human and coming across as human, and any kind of it seems like any kind of social interaction. So I wonder how many of these writers are kind of like maybe on the spectrum. They don't really understand human emotion all that well. They don't understand how to convey it. But if they had editorial oversight that was quality instead of just a bunch of random girls that were hired to be work wives, that were helping them craft these stories and keeping the characters in continuity, I wonder if they could deliver. I'm starting more and more to think that, yeah, these writers aren't great, but the big problem is that they don't have any direction. They just turn in their first draft.
I think
and it goes
it's
to
first ideas. Their first idea is what they throw out there, and nobody's there to say, okay, develop this, do that. A lot of things. And Stephanie Phillips, I think one of the problems she has a lot is she doesn't think beyond a scene. There's a scene there, and she doesn't think of how it got to that scene and what's happening besides that. And everything feels randomly odd because it wouldn't happen that way. And we have that a lot.
Yeah, like the Black Widow Hawkeye mini. That was just this jumble narrative of flashback, and just it was awful.
And even that Laura Kinney, the Weapon X tie into Blood Hunt this week, like things were happening that you're like, how me and Wes were even talking, like, how did it get to this? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, who did this before this happened? And it never clicked.
The thing that all these writers seem to be missing, just in the most basic level of writing, is that your story has to be, because this happens, this.
Yeah.
That's how you build out your story, is that each thing creates the next scenario. You think of like a TV show, like say Breaking Bad, and everything in that show is built upon what comes before it. Every time an obstacle is overcome, you find out that thing was holding back something even worse. So the show, that's how the story progresses, is because this happened, this happens. And then because of what the character decides to do, this happens.
Yeah. And I think that editors now, none of them seem to be writers, and they end up being, the big qualification is, they'll be nice to the writers now, and the writers will like them, and that's a problem there.
Hey, Tom King set that standard, didn't he? Like getting the I think what's his face fired? Help me out here.
Abernathy?
No,
not Abernathy.
Mark Doyle.
Mark Doyle. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Hey, look, if Tom King.
All right, fellas. Let's move on. Aaron, you were a professional writer. How do I pronounce this guy's name? I don't want to be an a-hole to Mark here.
I don't know.
Skisners.
Mark Skisners. Any of you read Elric, Necromancer, #1 from Titan Comics this week? It was on my to-do list, but I never got a review copy. So
I do want to read that. I do want to read it, but
Titan's killing it right now.
I think I got a review copy, Wes. I just didn't send
You just didn't send it to me.
I didn't read it either. I'm checking right now. I haven't checked that email this week.
So can Titan theoretically do a Conan Elric crossover?
That'd be pretty cool.
Probably.
Interesting.
So it sounds like nobody read it this week, but it is something that was certainly on my mind. I wanted to check out, but I didn't have access to the review issue. So unfortunately, I didn't. But it did look cool. I would like to read it, Mark. Thank you very much, Mr. DC Comics. I want to see Darkseid with his own book, art by Jason Fabok. The source wall breaks. The old gods return and wreak havoc on the entire DC universe. That's an event. No more multiverses.
That is indeed an event.
Yeah, Jason Fabok can't be on it though.
Crisis on Infinite
He
Earths
is
2.
exclusive to Ghost Machine.
How about just Crisis on One Earth?
What Crisis in a city?
How about
In your town?
yeah, crisis in my backyard.
Yes, exactly. I have that a
Crisis
lot.
on
I was going to
multiple
say
Earths.
that's Jim's
I
entire
have
week.
that very much.
Crisis on multiple Earths could be a big banger. Or multiverse crisis, huh?
Oh God.
It could be like the death of Spider-Verse,
Crisis,
which actually
crisis.
introduces a new version of Spider-Verse at the end of it, so it never really died.
Yeah.
Or, and hear me out, we could stop doing crises.
Yeah. How about Crisis on
For like
Crisis?
Yeah, I was just going
for
to say
like
that,
another-
Jim. That's how we would have to stop doing
That would
crises.
be the- yeah,
It
it
would have
would.
to be a
It'd be-
crisis of infinite crises,
It all wraps
ending in
around.
no crises.
Absolute midlife crisis.
Be awesome.
Oh, I think that's Scott Snyder right now.
That's great.
I like the
Tom
idea behind the source wall or whatever, but I never actually want to see it in a comic book again after what Scott Snyder did with it.
The source wall is one of those things where it's like you
It's
don't
good to know
touch
it's there.
it. It's good to know it's there, but you don't really touch
Yeah.
it, and you don't really get into
Serves a
what it
purpose.
is and what it holds back, and you don't really ever tell that story. There's just some stories that you just never tell because they've been built up over years in the reader's minds, and nothing that you deliver will ever be satisfying.
Very nice. Roaring Steel Media. Jim Lee is a comic publisher like Joe Biden is a U.S. president. Just because you have the title doesn't mean you're doing the job. That's me.
Listen, Jack. Anyway,
Anyway. That's your professional lunch.
Oh no, people are just going to be doing random gobbledygook.
Oh, that's what Jim Lee does too.
We've got the Calico. Shout out to the Think Critical team from Kineticon and Techo Pittsburgh. Our new YouTube channel is here. Absolutely go all in and subscribe today. Calico trade coming soon. Support Think Critical now and always.
Wait, what
That
in
is
the
awesome.
fuck is Techo Pittsburgh, and why am I unaware of this occurring?
Why aren't you going
Is it
there and
weeb
hanging out with HH and getting him a beer?
Is it weeb shit?
I don't.
It sounds like weeb shit.
It's whatever. You're weeb shit at Jace.
I thought you said weed shit. What?
Weeb.
I don't think it's
No.
I get to
The weed convention was a couple of weeks ago,
That was
but
a
they
couple
also
weeks
had
ago.
it was strangely tied to a reptile convention. So
Oh.
my girlfriend was like, I'll go to the one half, but I don't want to have to go through the other half.
Techo is the region's premier anime convention. You are adjacent to that, Doc, and you should go there and buy HH a beer for all of us. Get it around on the house and take him to go get a Permane Brothers sandwich.
Mm.
Oh, I will take. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about the Permane brothers.
Yeah,
I'll take
really.
it. I'll take them for Permanes. Yeah, I'll take the Calico team out for Permanes.
Also, you can get a Spy Family sweatshirt. That'd be pretty cool.
And absolutely
I
go
get-
check out their YouTube channel. HH is a great guy, and I know he surrounds himself with a lot of really fun people. And I bet you they're going to do some really cool stuff on that channel.
I get to meet HH for the first time next week at San Diego, so I'm excited.
Are you going to give him a big hug?
Maybe. I
Don't get
know.
too
We'll
fresh.
see.
He's an
We'll
MMA
see.
fighter.
See how it works. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll give him a big hug, and then he'll turn that into a belly-to-belly suplex through a table, and I'll be impressed.
No, he's a real fighter. He's not a pro wrestler. He's not Scott Steiner.
But you know, all the MMA guys, they eventually make their way over to WWE, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them do. Yeah, I could see Dylan's not happy. He's a big UFC fan. HH sent me a picture, Dylan. This was really cool. When he was a young fighter and he had transitioned from boxing, I think he was a middleweight, into MMA and was fighting professionally on the local circuit. And there's a picture of him, and in the background, not in the background, but in the little thing is Vitor freaking Belfort.
That's sick.
So he was on the same card with him.
Damn.
So
That's so
it was
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. So definitely go support those guys. Did you meet HH at Emerald City Comic Con? He was probably there.
No, I didn't meet him.
But, well, you better. He's got some stories about people you're very interested in.
All right. I'll take that up next time if he's there next year.
Absolutely. Kalichioki, Absolute Universe is just coming off like the Snyderverse. That is a very good observation.
Yeah.
The Scott Snyderverse.
And not a flattering comparison.
It's not meant to be a compliment.
Folks on dark side. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird Superman with no humanity, a Batman that's impervious and just throwing people through walls. Remember when he grabbed that one dude and like murdered him by throwing him into the floor? I mean, it was a cool moment. It looked neat. I was like, man,
that just snapped that dude's neck in half.
What about when he
killed him by smashing?
Gravity was his enemy.
Yes.
What about when he grappled the crate and then collapsed that guy's entire skull by throwing it into his face?
Yeah.
Listen, if the back of your head is hitting a concrete wall and leaving a bunch of blood on it, you're dead.
I mean, he also knocked a grenade straight back at a guy, so there's that as well.
Murder Man versus Captain Hypocrite.
Roaring Steel Media, when I compared Jim Lee to Joe Biden, that wasn't entirely accurate. Biden shits the bed less frequently.
No, but it's because
that's a good joke.
But here's the thing: it's because he's wearing diapers. So that's what the diapers for.
My butt's been wiped.
He's an 81-year-old man. Hopefully you can keep it in at that age. Come on, have some compassion.
Jim Lee is not 81 years old.
I think we're talking about figuratively shitting the bed versus literally shitting.
Oh, there you go. Sleeve McDakel, DC should stop trying to copy Marvel. If they want to do an alternative to the Ultimate Comics, they should do something similar to All-Star Superman. Over-the-top, pulp-free, distilled versions of heroes. High concept, not modern. And that is kind of the problem here, Jim, is they already tried to do this with All-Star comic books. They already tried to do it with Earth One.
Yeah, that's the problem. They keep trying to do it, and then people are still waiting for some Earth One books to come out. I mean, they're waiting with bated breath, and they're not going to, I guess. But yeah, they just kind of go to the next thing and the next thing, and it's not just. And that's the problem. It's not just copying Marvel to me. It's just having commitment to something and actually do something that could last. And they don't seem to be able to do that. Even with that, DC gets the idea, or fans will say the joke is, oh, they reboot every 2 weeks. Even though when you look, they haven't, but they give you that look of it because they keep doing these little changes and All In and Rebirth and these. It just ends up where they're never committing to one thing for long enough, so it does look like it's just always in chaos and always, just waiting for the next person to come in and say, I've been pitching this for 5 years and I'm the architect, and away we go. And it is a problem.
Say what you will about Dan DiDio, he was at least a strong leader.
Yeah,
at least led. Sometimes not in a direction that fans liked, but he did make decisions and he did try things, and he was willing to backtrack if it didn't work.
Yep.
I think the biggest mistake that DC has made in copying Marvel is deciding to have weak leadership like Marvel does.
Yeah.
And so this is the situation that they're now in. They have weak leadership with Jim Lee and or non-leadership, as it seems. And so the company is just moving from failed initiative to failed initiative and trying the same thing and expecting different results.
And I've said along Dan DiDio, what he was really good at is everybody could direct their anger or whatever at him. So you didn't get mad at the writers. You didn't care about this person or that. It was that, oh my God, Dan DiDio. And he let everybody kind of do their thing, and almost like, and Tom King, constantly Tom King, he would take the heat for Tom King. So people would say, oh, well, that Heroes in Crisis was awful, but Dan DiDio made him do this and that. So they kept liking Tom King at some point. Like, it was almost like a manager with, a rock band. You want the manager to be the one who's an asshole, even though everything that's been done is because of the band, but you can direct it at something else. And they don't have that anymore. You don't have anybody to direct your thing at. So they're directing it at, the writers, which is actually what should be, but he's not there to take the heat. And I think that's a big thing. And
Jim Lee's also not going to make any hard calls because he wants to be nice guy Jim.
And he's not going to take any heat for anything. He ends up, when they ask him stuff about like a big contract, he says he doesn't even know about it half the time. So
I can drive a few miles away today and pay $65 for him to sign a book.
Nice.
Ooh.
Or I could get, or for 30, I could get J.
Yeah.
Scott Campbell to sign a book, and I think I
Or
would,
for
I would rather do that.
30,000, he'll draw you something.
Limited backgrounds. Limited backgrounds.
Scott Snyder's kind of become Captain One Up, and a lot of times he's trying to one up himself. But I do fear, Dylan, he might try to one up the All-Star Batman and Robin. Like, what can you do worse than feeding rats to Robin?
Not much. I don't know.
Get gerbils
Yeah.
involved.
Definitely.
When
tries
you
to
guys were
go
talking
bigger
about
and
how
bigger.
great Clay Mann draws women, I was like, yeah, isn't it great the way that Tom King keeps asking him to draw women eating rats?
Yeah.
Well, he's not doing that book. That's St. Pierre.
No, I know, but that was immediately what I thought of because of
Yeah.
Tom King's weird fetish. One of his weird fetishes.
He does draw a really hot dead poison ivy, though. I want to point out. I don't even know if anybody, they had a scene that they had to delete because there was a poison ivy that was dead, and they made her like all sexy. They had to delete it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
I heard that.
That the joke was, all of a sudden I'm, doing some weird shit or something.
There was also a dead Green Lantern in the background of
Yeah,
Heroes
there
of
was.
Crisis 1.
Yep.
That got dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah. He also
I
had
think
Hal Jordan
and I
commit
think that
suicide in one of his stories, The
Yeah.
Green.
I think that would have been Simon Bass too.
Agreed,
I think it was
yeah.
supposed to be Simon Bass.
Well, we could have used one less lantern. It probably wouldn't have been the worst thing, right?
Nah.
We've got enough Earth lanterns as it is, so yeah, I think he'll try to outdo All-Star Batman and Robin, which is pretty notorious at this point. Carlitos Figueroa, it's sad that one is forced to look to the past for good comics. Seriously, I just read Spider-Man by Mark Miller and Wonder Woman by Grant Morrison, and despite how edgy and some weird, it's still better than what we're getting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Wonder Woman by Grant Morrison. I passed on it originally. I like Yannick Paquette's art, and this is good. This is what I'm going to try with the new DC compact format. They're going to be releasing Wonder Woman Earth 1 in the next round, so I'm going to check that out at least. I love that Spider-Man book by Mark Miller, the Marvel Knights one with the Dodsons. That was great.
As a young man, is it good for you, Dylan? You get to go back and experience, 60 years of history.
I mean, yeah, I go back and read all the time. But when I first started reading comics, all I did was read back issues. I didn't read new monthly stuff until New 52. Other than before then, all I did was read back issues. That's all it was. And then New 52 happened. I was like, oh, I guess I'll check this out. But yeah, I agree with what Sully said. That Mark Millar Spider-Man is great. I really enjoy that. I have that trade. It's really good.
I have an interview set up with Mark Miller later on today that's going to be exciting. Should be out on Sunday or Monday on the channel. But Jim,
Yes.
you have to step out. Do you have anything that you want to put out there, something people should check out or recommend a comic book?
Actually, what came out this week? I did like Red Coat. I'm on. I didn't even think you were going to ask me about what comics I liked. Don't read Namor. I'm going through my list. I'll say Red Coat, and that's it.
You liked Ultimate X-Men the 5.
Yeah, I actually did, but that's a book again. I
You don't
wouldn't
wanna admit
recommend.
that.
Well, no, I'll admit it. I just would never recommend that to anybody because that is a very personal type deal. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, you're going to hate it and hate me. If you like it, you'll be fine. But that one is an odd one. But yeah, DC had a weird week. Actually, for Dylan, I will recommend Green Lantern War Journal number 11. I actually told Wes that I thought it was hot. I did like it. And was excited to it's ending. I mean, it's the penultimate issue, but then it'll continue in backup. So at least it's ending strong for me. That'll be that. Boom.
Well, we do appreciate it, brother.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll see everybody. See you guys.
Man.
Bye, Jim. Have a
Look
good
what you
one.
did, Dylan. You made him
chased
leave
me.
early.
You made Jim August
bad.
leave. I'm kidding.
So what's the latest back issues that you're reading right now, Dylan? What are you into?
Right now, I'm just because we got Deadpool coming out. I'm reading Daniel Waid Deadpool, which is my favorite Deadpool. I really like what Daniel Waid did with Deadpool, so that's what I'm reading right now.
Doc, fixing. Get it.
Joe Kelly's is infinitely better. I mean, Daniel Waid's Deadpool was probably honestly, it's probably not in my top 10 Deadpool runs. I'd say
Is
Cable Gale's is actually probably right around 9 or 10. It's right around the same as Daniel Way for me. I'd say the Cable and Deadpool run, like the entire thing, all the different creative teams that were on it was better than that. Absolutely the Joe Kelly stuff.
Joe Kelly made Deadpool who Deadpool is today. Like that's
exactly.
the things that we always say it, but the things that people really love about Deadpool, Joe Kelly's the one who's zeroed in on all those things.
There you go. Dylan, he's reading Daniel Waid Deadpool. What are you reading that's back issue, Sully?
Let's see. I got some Bronze Age grab bags from my local comic book shop. They got the sidewalk sale, $10. You get 4 comics, and I basically got it for the Thor 1981 that has the Columbia bike contest on the top because I'm a sucker for those ones. And I was blessed that it came with a couple of old ratty issues of G.I. Joe before, like I got like issues 12 and 13 of that, which makes me just happy because that's my wheelhouse of childhood. It was that old Larry Hama G.I. Joe. And let's see, anything else? Actually, I've been trying to keep my eye out for old Star Wars comics, especially the Marvel ones. There's like 1 through 107, and there's 2 annuals. And I'm like, you know what? That's like a noble goal. Why don't I get a run? I'm old enough. I can afford it. Some of them are going to be wicked pricey, but most of them you can get reader copies, and I just want a reader copy run and for fun because I'm an old school Star Wars fan, because it used to be Star Wars. Now it's a safe space.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what he's reading. What are you reading, Doc? This back issues.
Actually, I just picked up a handful of the San Francisco era New Mutants.
Oh, New Mutants.
It's okay. It's something to fucking read. And
right now I'm reading. I just finished Planetary. We are in the middle of Superior, and we're about to start DC New Frontier. Super excited about that.
Very nice.
Sparrow, you reading any back issues?
Yeah, I've been going back through Walt Simonson's Thor run. So I'm having a lot of fun.
The Magog and the enormous fucking sword and all that stuff. Good
and
stuff.
Curse and like just all the really great stuff. Ragnarok and oh man, great stuff.
Absolutely. Good call, Carlitos. Last up, Lane says, is this new 8 Deaths of Spider-Man worth reading? It's going to have really good art because it's going to have Ed McGuinness and it's going to have Gleb Melnikoff. Joe Kelly is a known commodity, but we will have Justina Ireland co-writing on that one. Jim read ASM Blood Hunt this week. Did you read it, Sully?
I didn't. I skipped it. I hit the wall with the Blood Hunt stuff. I skipped Laura Kinney. I skipped Blood Hunters. Oh my God, Blood Hunters is just, what a drag. Me, I'm just enabling the whole evil of comic books. I'm just sticking with Blood Hunt Red Band. Sorry.
So I wasn't impressed with Justina Ireland, but that is the big red flag on there. But if you want to get in there in a really small, self-contained Spider-Man story before the real writer comes on, I would say check it out. Joe Kelly's good artist. Kalichioki, Panel's thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Are you going to see it, Doc?
Actually, this one I might see. I don't know if I'm going to see it opening weekend. I honestly don't know. I mean, I'll probably see it at some point. I guarantee I'll see it at some point. Just a question of whether or not I'm going to see it in the theater.
What do you think of the prior 2 movies, Doc?
I liked the first one. I thought the second one was terribly disappointing.
Agreed.
I was very underwhelmed at the second one, and I feel like a lot of the heart from the first one was lost on the second one, and I feel for jokes, and because honestly, and I blame Ryan Reynolds a little bit for it, because the director from the first one, Tim Miller was not involved. Like, he got fired before they filmed the second one, and then his script was kind of scrapped.
fat kid from New Zealand is just
I
very awesome.
fucking
Annoys the
hate
hell out
that
of me the entire movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking hate that kid. I hated him. I hated the fact that the entire the first 5 minutes of this movie basically undoes all of the emotional stakes from the first movie. Like everything you went through, the whole arc there with him and Vanessa, just for her to get killed in like the first 2 minutes of the fucking movie, and then spend the rest of the movie just to get back there. And now we're gonna do it fucking again,
Yeah.
where they're broken up.
mad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean, look, I understand that that losing Morena Baccarin would send any man on a killing spree.
exactly.
but come on, 3 times
Yeah,
we're gonna do this.
yeah. It's like, for fuck's sake, guys. It'd be one thing if like he's moved on with somebody else, or he's trying to fuck death now. Like, that would have been more fun. I mean, hell, I would have accepted Hela as the stand-in for death, as the goddess of death, like the same way Hela should have been, the one that Thanos was trying to get with. All of that, I would have accepted any of that. But
Can I just get a quick
sad
survey
sack.
on Kate Blanchett as Hela, and I'll go ahead and go first. Would.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
As long as she's wearing the head
The headpiece.
the headpiece thing. When she gets rid of that, it's not as fun.
Goodness, you guys are
Fair
awful.
point.
I get she doesn't
There
want
you
to.
go.
Like,
Wes
the
can't weigh in
acting.
because he's a married man. I understand.
Aw.
I'm not really into matchsticks.
Oh, I know. She looks
All right. We do need to get to one more topic. We did have Mark Waid, of course, is being a big part of All In. He's going to be the new writer on Absolute Comics for the Superstars of Superman initiative, but he's also getting his own Batman and Robin Year One story. And I can't imagine the timing being any worse than this, Aaron, where he reminded everyone, while you might not want to support him on a personal level before they make these two big announcements. And this is the chance that you take if you're DC Comics, if you decide that Mark Waid is going to be one of your premier creators, because this is who he's been for like 30 years.
This is the risk that you run when you hire an emotionally unstable man baby that can't control his emotions and constantly throws tantrums online, then deletes them when he gets pushback because he's shocked that there are people that don't respond well to his impotent rage and his bitter, hateful anger. Like right before you announce this Batman book, you get Mark Waid with another unhinged rant, actually expressing unhappiness that a man wasn't shot in the head. I don't know. Like my feelings on this are well documented on the channel now. At one point I would always say that I thought that we should judge people on the very best of their behavior, and but the overwhelming amount of Mark Waid behavior is negative and is hateful and he's just an impotent little rage goblin. He hates his life, he hates himself, and he spews it out on everybody constantly. And it amazes me that he ever writes any good superhero comics, because there is so little superhero value, so little heroism in his own life. You know who actually died at that political rally? A real hero, a man who risked his life to save other people, not only throughout his life, but in his death. And that's the sort of thing that Mark Waid spits in the face of when he makes his little snipey comments that he then has to delete and then pretend like they were his condolences, as he called them.
I mean, I think my opinion of Mark Waid is incredibly well documented at this point. I guarantee if you had a time machine and went back to 1996 with me in a comic book shop and asked me about it, it'd be exactly the same as it was today. And I didn't know anything about how terrible of a human being he was. he was always the canary in the coal mine for whatever company is on death's door, because that's the only way he gets work. I don't understand. I know that people will talk about how he's written this, he's written that. I've never seen it. As a writer, I have never had an ounce of respect for him as a creator. I have never thought he was even competent. In fact, I've never understood, like, I've spent almost like 25 years, well, over 25 years now, being perplexed at people that praise him and his work. I'm like, I feel like I'm in fucking Bizarro world. And then I learned how much of a fucking ghoul he is. And it has completely justified every, it didn't justify, it just reinforced. Like, oh, so not only is he a bad creator that I don't like and that I've never thought was even anything beyond middling on his best days, but he's also human pawn scum. Okay, I mean, fuck, that you can't make an easier option for me. Like, hi, would you like to purchase for your hard-earned money this bag of dog excrement?
Like, buy a bag of dog excrement?
Like,
is it on fire? Is it a fire sale?
I like that's the way I felt when I just knew his creative works. Once I learned how abysmal of a human being he is, like, okay, I think there's a lot of us that understand exactly how much we hate what happened, a week ago today. And there's some people out there that are just terrible humans that relish it. But at the same time, fucking Sheila Jackson Lee died yesterday. I think I have stood against everything she stood for in her entire life as a politician. And the most vitriol you could drive out of me is like just indifference. I mean, is it sad? I feel bad for her family. I am otherwise indifferent. Like, and this was a guy, I mean, hey, like him, hate him, whatever. You don't take a shot at the guy. You don't celebrate somebody else doing it. And when there's a perfectly innocent person that just happens to believe things that you don't. I mean, maybe you think it's entirely reprehensible. He's still a guy that ran into buildings to save people when it was on fire. I mean, whatever his personal, your take, any creator out there, Mark, including your petulant little ass, regardless of what you think about his political beliefs, he has done, I guarantee in one day, this man, Corey, did more to improve humanity than you have done in your 60-some years being a fucking blight on this planet.
Yeah, and I said in the chat earlier, I said, this isn't really, because someone said, so like, is the hatred towards Waid just based on his politics? And I said, no, absolutely not. I said, because I would guess, just from his posts and from things that he said, that Jimmy Palmiotti has the exact same politics as Mark Waid. Yeah. However, Jimmy Palmiotti conducts himself as a decent human being, and people love him because of that. So, it's not a matter of what his politics are, because Jimmy expresses himself as a rational human being. He treats people with dignity and respect, and in return, he gets that back. So when Mark Waid is upset at the way that people come at him or the way that people treat him, that's what you put out there, Mark. That's what you put out, so that's what you get back. You get what you give. So now the point that we're all at with you as a human being, you're just getting back the energy that you give. but we wouldn't cheer if you were gunned down by somebody. We would not cheer violence against you, whether we thought you brought it on yourself or not. We would not be in favor of that.
The worst that you could get out of me
Uh-huh.
would be mild indifference. If not, just I'd feel bad. I don't like seeing people die. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're 110 years old and they lived the greatest life in the history of humanity, and they're suffering, with terrible pain all day, every day from being riddled with cancer now, and it's probably a blessing for them to pass. I still don't like seeing people die. But look, I hate to break it to a lot of folks that might be listening, but the people like Mark Waid that live with his worldview, I hate to tell them, and I've been saying this for 30 years, but it's progressivism is a death cult.
All right. Well, there we go.
Let me say one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
Our hope for Mark Waid is not that ill comes to him. Our hope for Mark Waid would be that he managed to exorcise the demons that he has in his soul, and that he find a much better place. He finds a way to be happy and to actually like and care about other people, and that his life opens up to happiness, and that he spends the last years of his life being a decent human being and repenting from all of the damage that he has done, not only to other people, but to himself, to his own soul. That would be our hope for Mark Waid, because despite the fact that I do not like him, I find him to be a completely odious human being. My hope for him is that he would turn from that and actually be, actually spend the rest of his life doing good instead of doing ill.
Very, very well said. Me personally, I've already off the Mark Waid bandwagon after that. I would rather see the industry burn to the ground type of thing.
Oh man.
I know you are of a younger generation, Jill. What are your thoughts on Mark Waid? Big name, he's done Kingdom Come, had a really good Flash run. Batman Superman, was a good run until I stopped reading it. Are you excited for the Action Comics upgrade? Are you excited for the Batman and Robin?
No, I'm not excited for his. I kind of have a bit of a similar take to Doc in terms of I never got the hype around him, regardless of politics or what he said. I've never read anything of his I thought was really over a 7 out of 10. I heard Birthright was the greatest Superman origin story ever. I
disagree on that one hard.
I think it pales in comparison to Secret Origin. There's a lot of things of his that I've read. And I'm like, it's good, but I don't think it's that great. So this doesn't get me excited. I'm just don't really care. I'm also not the biggest fan of the artist that's going to be on Action Comics with them as well. So neither end of that equation gets me excited. I just don't care about anything Mark Waid's doing. I've never been the biggest Mark Waid fan, so this doesn't get me to buy any of these books, and I don't get them going all in on Mark Waid. I just don't understand it.
What about Mariko Tamaki as a little cherry on top of Mark Waid? Does that get you in?
No. I hate that they keep going with these backup stories. They're we're going to charge you an extra $1 so you can get a backup story. No one cares about the backup stories. The last time I cared about a backup story was the little John Kent backup story they did with Dan Jurgens. That was good. But other than that, I don't care about these backup stories. I hate they keep being we're going to justify this comic costing an extra $1 or $2 with this backup story that no one cares about with middling talent.
We're gonna charge you an extra $1 for a thing you don't want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
I got the Legend of the Butt Baby out of Joker, and then I also got Gotham Girl Interrupted from Cena Grace in a Detective Comics, and those were just must-read things, right?
Oh, how have we not covered his Substack post? How have we not covered that? That is the most
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Self-congratulatory thing I've ever read. It's wow, it's really rough. We'll have to talk about it, Wes. Maybe we can do it.
Cena Grace?
Maybe we can do it on the podcast.
Okay. Something happened? What was it about?
He posted a Substack that was just kind of a retrospective
on how great he was?
Yeah, and
God, I need to make that video.
Yeah, it's the most embarrassing thing that you've ever read.
No, I read Joe Glass's tweets this last week.
Well, I mean, this comes pretty close in a different way, but it comes pretty close. Whereas Joe Glass is seems like he's auditioning to be the writer to relaunch Sad Sack Comics. just Cena Grace is just his Substack is just an exercise in wow, just having no self-awareness.
We'll do it. I want to check it out. I'm very intrigued now. And you are right, Chris. 827 Legend of the Butt Baby was Nightcrawler.
Yes.
The Joker story was the Shit Baby.
Yes. The Poop
So
Baby.
that was the Poop Baby. My bad. So I guess I got those mixed up. What are your thoughts on DC continuing to trying to elevate Mark Waid up to being one of their premier creators, Sully?
You know, up until recently, I sincerely felt that Mark Waid would have been an excellent editor-in-chief for DC Comics. I thought that he might have earned it by now, you know, after, 30, 40 years in this business, a couple of failed editorial ships in other smaller prints, that he's got such an encyclopedic knowledge of DC characters and continuity that he would be able to, right the ship and give us the stories that we're craving from across the board. I mean, Wes had started having me on the show 2 years ago, and I wasn't buying comics then, and you guys got me back into the game weekly. And one of the comics that you kept on harping on was like, dude, you're not reading World's Finest? You love this stuff. And you were right. I started buying World's Finest, and I was like, oh, wow, this is like my sweet spot. This is some good stuff. But, I was giving Mark a pass because, you know what? I'm a huge Ethan Van Sciver fan, and he says a lot of dumb shit. And so if I'm going to give Ethan a pass, I got to be fair in giving Mark Waid a pass too, because they're like literally two sides of the same coin, But I mean, but the more and more I find out about like Mark Waid's antics, the tantrums, the black roses, about jawbreakers, about, this, that, and the other thing. It's just like, oh boy, this guy is just, it's off-putting. All right. And, you
can't separate the art and artist anymore?
Well, not in this case. I mean, you look at it historically. I mean, James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, he was a serial wife beater. But nobody remembers that, and nobody kind of cares. But he's still the Godfather of Soul. They never took that away from him. But Mark Waid, saying something as odious as this, at like, come on, dude. It just, I don't want him fired. I'm just going to vote with my dollar. I'm just going to, from now on, no more Mark Waid books. And a couple of, several weeks ago, we had like the best DC stories ever. And what was one of my picks? It was Mark Waid's Flash Blood Will Run. And that is still one of my all-time favorite DC stories of all time, because it had this great advice of how to beat a bully. Auntie Iris was like, she came from the future and said, Wally, you can't beat him. Give him what he wants. And Wally understood that and threw him headfirst into the Speed Force. And I loved that. It was such a good story. And then Kingdom Come. I mean, the guy's got legit talent, but he's got no filter. And he's just definitely just soured people, like a person like me who wants to buy his stuff. How many more people like me are out there? And how long is it going to, hopefully he'll have his, Saul on the road, becoming St. Paul moment, like what Aaron said. We're kind of rooting for you, kid. Take your head out of your ass. The view's better up here. But yeah, I'm off Waid.
Be more like the comic readers who have continually given you chance after chance and been willing to forgive you. That's the problem, is that there's no forgiveness in his life. He certainly can't forgive any small transgression against him. Even when I worked with him and I was sitting next to him on a plane flying to, I believe it was Emerald City. I'm like this comics fan, and it's like, boy, I'm getting to sit next to Mark, and I get to talk to him and everything. And he immediately takes out his headphones and he's like, I don't really like talking to people, so I'm just going to listen to my music, and puts it in. And then that just became like my image of him, is that he genuinely does not like people. So when people lecture you on humanity, but they actually don't like humanity, they actually don't like people, that's a huge red flag.
Very interesting stuff. So we go. Mark Waid on Action Comics, huge turnoff for me. And then the Batman and Robin book. I feel bad for Chris Samney. Probably deserves something better because he's a Certainly a well-respected artist. But
Honestly,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Chris Samney has hitched his wagon to Mark for long enough that I have no sympathy for him. He knows who Mark is. He's been working with him for at least 10 to 15 years now. I have no sympathy for Chris Samney either. I have no sympathy for any of these non-rookie artists that this is their first big gig that still work with Mark. I don't care how good you are, you lose my money. And in fact, you lose my money permanently.
Very nice. If you want Doc's sympathy, look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. That's where you'll find Doc's sympathy.
You also find a picture of Mark Waid.
Savvy Reviews, Tim Miller also made Terminator Dark Fate, Doc.
Oh, I know. I know. Tim Miller himself, no, he's not. My point was, I think he was there to kind of balance out. I think sometimes you put two people that have very different goals for a project together and you end up with a really good project. All of the worst tendencies of both have to get ripped out until you find something that everyone can kind of agree on. And you might end up with a semi-generic movie, but you don't get all their worst tendencies.
Very nice. Jose the Beast says, good morning. I used to be a Mark Waid fan, but seriously can't help himself. Like other creators, they can't help but post about politics all day. Like Eric Larson, Greg Pak, David Mack, Kurt Busiek. Ugh.
I think I said this to Jose, maybe in a different comment section, but I said, do you think that Kurt Busiek is like super excited at the idea that Trump might get a second term just so that he can put Kurt Busiek resists back in his Twitter? He's like super excited about that. Like, yeah, I did it. I made a stand.
Well, I feel like Kurt, it makes him relevant again because he hasn't been relevant since George Perez died. Because that's the guy that gave him a career. Nobody's ever bought a book in the last. I mean, when's the last time he wrote something that anybody actually was interested in buying?
No, these guys should be talking about comic books and how great their books are, and they should be out there selling themselves and be like, "Hey, this is the Batman that I believe in. I stand for. This is what you're going to get in the book. Look at this piece of art. But you are going to be blown away when you read my story.
Look at this list of creators. A guy that spends his time writing porn, a guy that really wrote one thing and then just became token Asian.
One thing that was the idea of the editor and wasn't even his own idea.
Yeah. A guy who has hitched his wagon. He's only ever sold anything when somebody else is carrying him across the finish line in David Mack. And Kurt Busiek, who hasn't been relevant since 2000. When did Avengers Fantastic Four come out? 2004.
Writer, though.
That was 2004 was about the last time he was relevant.
I think Superman Up and Away happened after that. It was 2008 or 2009, right?
Yeah.
They're good stuff, but they would probably find themselves in a much better place if they were engaging people, talking about the stuff that they actually like, rather than just politics all day. That stuff will eat your brain alive. Birch the Great. Waid was great when I was a kid. Flash, JLA Year One, etc. Yeah,
I thought his Flash was terrible. The only reason I even owned it was for Michael Turner covers. I tried reading the first issue. Holy fuck, was that abysmal?
That Mike Waringo art, though. God, I miss Waringo.
Tabby Reviews. I'm cautiously looking forward to Absolute Batman, and that's really it. And waiting for my Shadowland and Daredevil by Chip Omnis to complete my Daredevil Omnibus run. I think
Shadowland?
Nick Dragotta on Absolute Batman is going to look really good. The guy's awesome.
I wish he was drawing a Batman that I was interested in.
It could be a Batman you're interested in. You haven't even met him yet. You just know that he's
like jacked man.
He's really, really big.
I just don't like the looks of him. I disagree with Rob Liefeld. I disagree with Rob Liefeld when he talks about movies generally, and I disagree with.
I like Rob, but we saw what he did to Captain America. He might not have the best taste in every hero.
Yeah, that's true.
Or what he wanted to do. That obviously never actually got published. Where
Yeah, it
looked
was just
he
promo
had
art.
the same tits as fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter's
Well,
late wife.
here's the thing. You know what's funny? That's an actual photograph with the exact same. It looks exactly the same if you find the original photograph.
Yeah, because
He
it's
photo
Arnold, but
referenced?
he took out the arm because in order to get that pose, Arnold is coming up like this with his
Yeah.
with his bicep. And so like Rob took that out to make it Captain America with the shield, but it without the context of that arm,
It looks like
twisting
a
the
tit.
anatomy, it doesn't make any sense at all.
And nobody would have ever hired Arnold Schwarzenegger to be Captain America because he's too big.
And also he hates freedom. Screw your freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still not giving that one up, are you?
Come on, be forgiving.
When people,
Be
No.
like Mark
I can
Waid.
forgive, but when people show you who they are, you
You
should
gotta
believe
believe
them.
him. Yeah.
But they were scared.
Also, I think we spent the last 10 years seeing what happens when we keep forgiving people. The people that don't forgive themselves. So I'm done forgiving people that don't forgive.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you want mercy, show a little first.
I'll forgive people.
I guess
It's all right.
the real takeaway is screw your freedom and your housekeeper.
Oh, come on. What
Get
is
to
he
the
supposed
chopper.
do? Sleeve says, I agree with Jose the Beast. It makes me sad how Eric Larson is that everyone knows his hot takes. Although with Spider-Man.
Eric
Yeah.
Larson's not a smart man. He knows a lot
No.
about comics history. He's a good comic historian, but he's not a smart man.
I am liking Savage Dragon recently, though. I've read like the
You
past
liking the
4
one?
issues. Well, I don't mind.
If you think that's titillating, I don't want you coming near the Philippines.
I don't know. I don't think it's titillating. I think it's like I understand ribald adult humor, though. And
Sully,
I
you're a reverend, for God's sake.
I am an ordained minister of the dirty mind. You come. But I mean, I like his art style. It's very Frank Miller-like. I like the lampooning of the superhero genre. And I don't mind dirty jokes in comic
If
books.
you like lampooning of superheroes, you should read Jackson Lanzig and Colin Kelly.
I am reading Outsiders, man, dude.
Exactly.
If you like
Yeah.
intentional lampooning of superheroes, you should read Kneel Before Doomface. Which,
Yeah. Might be unintentional
You
there.
can guarantee that, brother.
I do want to say thank you to everybody for supporting the channel today. I think we had a lot of fun here talking about obviously all the all-in stuff. I think we went over an hour on that. We got into the Mark Waid stuff at the end. Definitely enjoy answering all the questions and the stuff. But it is time for maybe the best part of the show. We start talking about all the comic books that you should be reading this week. Sully, you read far too many comic books. I know you get the review copies and all that stuff. We were able to do best of the week last week.
That
And
was
you've read
fun.
every
Thank
single
you.
comic book.
I
which was
did.
outrageously too much. I normally read 20. I think you did 60.
I have to cut down on that because it's really rotting my brain because there's
Exactly.
there's a lot of bad funny books out there. Yet I got a bag of funny books from my local comic book shop. I go every Wednesday. I got a pull list. I get my supplies there, my bags, my boards, my boxes. Because once again, I love
Your
to print
boxes?
my boxes, dude. I get short boxes now instead of the long boxes because the older I get, the heavier they get, And
Filing cabinets.
Doc, you have a system that's to die for. Seriously, kid. Wow. And but local comic book shops, they will stick around as long as we put our feet on the street and get to that store and spend our money there. So buy some floppies. What's in the bag? I will show you. What did I get this week? I got my biggest disappointment of the week was this. Pornsec Pinochet's Man's Best 5 of 5. This wraps up his series on Boom. The art was pretty good. It was a sci-fi story about 3 weaponized pets and in space.
That's what I didn't get when I read it.
That was it started off so good and it just landed so flat. So whatever he does on the upcoming the Absolute line, I don't really have too much faith in it. Sorry, Pornsec.
I never read an issue until this one, and I was so
Lost.
thoroughly confused and lost that I was
Exactly.
like,
I read
had
all
to
of it.
jump in.
and it was confusing and
Oh, you were lost too. Well, it was
Yeah.
totally what.
a little bit, yeah. I'm like Cy Spurrier. He's doing a decent job on Hellblazer. I'm in on this. I was a huge Vertigo Hellblazer fan. I had 1 through 200 and some of the one shots for like years ago.
Do you like the clarification on Constantine in that book?
I like that he's the closest thing
He's
we're
not
going to get.
bisexual anymore. He's pansexual now.
It's
Huge.
It's huge. What a difference, right? Yeah.
He fucks
Holy
kitchenware.
I got Destro too, of 5 by Dan Waters. We were talking about it earlier. It's pretty decent. I'm a big fan of this. I want to see where this is going, and it's much better than Scarlet. I'll say that much. I got Superman.
That's not a hard bar to get
It's not a hard one. I got Superman 15 rather, by Joshua Williamson. Jamal Campbell has returned. I'm not sold on Campbell's art. I mean,
I love the art.
You do,
Great.
yeah. But it's very digital like, and it's it's okay, but
There's no onomatopoeia in the background. He's not even a comic book.
You don't like the hand drawing and sound effects there, kid. I don't know. But I get plenty of those here with Nick Klein. I got Nick Klein on I bought my comic books on Wednesday. I got both Phil Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein on Twitter because I'm like, dude, I'm in love with your art. And it was great because if you're cool to these people, chances are they'll be cool to you too. So it's nice talking to the creators of this book. This is fun. I love the art and it's solid. I come back every month. And my pick of the week, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 308, written by Larry Hama. I love this book. This was 110%
Don't forget Paul Peltier. He does awesome art in that one.
Yeah, I mean, the good art, but I just love the way, anyone can walk into the story and just be caught up through the dialogue. It's the old Larry Hama style. There are so many Joes and so many Cobras that they're always referring to each other by their code names. So you know who they're talking to. And there's so many of these characters, I get confused of which one's which, that everything in this book is toyetic. It looks like the old toys. It's classic, iconic versions of all of these beloved characters that I've been reading for over 40 years. This was a fun book. And I'll be back next month and the month after that and after that and after that. And well, thank you everyone in the chat, and thank you Wes and everyone in the panel for another awesome Saturday morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are my picks of the week.
Dylan, you recommend any books this week?
Yeah, I've got a good amount this week, actually. I was happy this week. Got Red Coat number 4, continues on that story. I'm excited with what's been going on, what they're building to with that. It's pretty good. I like Red Coat.
Huge reveal.
Yeah, big reveal there. So I like Red Coat number 4. Dark Knights of Steel All Winter number 1, which is Deathstroke as a Viking. I thought that was pretty cool. I like the art on it. I'm excited to see where that goes. It's a pretty cool Elseworld story. I like it. So we'll see where that goes, but I'd recommend the first issue. Green Lantern War Journal number 11. This is the next one's the end. That's the finale, but this one's pretty good. I like it. I've really been enjoying what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing with Green Lantern War Journal. So we're getting close to the end, and definitely recommend that. Incredible Hulk number 14. Amazing. Nick Klein on art. So good. I love it. Destro number 2. I enjoyed it. I liked it better than the first issue. I thought it was pretty good. And then finally, I'd say Witcher Corvo Bianco number 3. If you're a fan of the Blood and Wine DLC, this sort of like continues on that, and it's really good. I like it. It's a 5-issue miniseries, and we're on issue 3 right now. So those are my recommendations.
Very nice. And I will kind of mention or follow up on what Sully said there about Philip Kennedy Johnson. I had a video about not that long ago saying, hey, I was really excited about Incredible Hulk, but I think these things haven't worked lately. And he reached out to me, had a very pleasant conversation. He was very professional and courteous and all that kind of stuff. And it was certainly willing to take criticism in a very positive manner. And it was just seemed like a nice guy. So that's all I can say about that.
That's how you
guy.
do it, man. Like, look, what you write is not going to be for everybody, and you should listen to the feedback that you get. Doesn't mean that you have to take it and internalize it, but you should at least consider it and roll it around and see if somebody's got a valid point.
Yeah. So he's a very pleasant guy. I imagine if you go and you add him on Twitter or whatever, you're going to have a good conversation. And he'll probably acknowledge you at the very minimum. You seem like a good dude. Sparrow, you recommending any books this week?
I have very little to recommend since, as I said, I am boycotting so many things. But I do have a couple. Obviously, I'm going to recommend, as Sully did, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 308. I continue to enjoy this series. The art is great. I'm really loving it. Like I said, I think moving over to Skybound and maybe getting a little piece of the action, which I hear rumors that Larry Hama actually is getting some royalties based off of this, based off of the sales of the big omnibus edition that they did. It seems to have reinvigorated him a little bit. And so he's doing much better work, I think, than he was for IDW. At IDW, I think he had kind of fallen into, well, this is good enough for who it's for, I guess.
Spencer Khan's plan in there just felt so right out of freaking comic books and cartoons.
It absolutely does, and that's something that Larry Hama really excels at. I think my other recommendation for this week is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 15. That book continues to be fun. If you love the Ninja Turtles and you don't want all of the BS of the Sophie Campbell years stacked onto it, you just want to read a fun series that feels like what you love. I think that's the way to go with that one. And then I will give a tepid recommendation to Destro. I didn't love this issue. I did like it more than the first, but I still didn't love it. Still not sure that Dan Waters has me sold, but I think that the overall goodwill of the Energon universe and what Josh Williamson's doing on G.I. Joe, I think makes this a decent read at least. So I will give that a tepid recommendation.
Very nice. Really appreciate that one. And last but not least, we do need to hear from the Doctor. I don't think he's going to be recommending Phoenix #1. There'll be a review on Monday explaining all of that. He's probably got some slab comic books to look at.
No, I am definitely not going to be. I don't have slabs this week. Yule's not here, so I can't torture him. Instead, since Aaron is here, we will go with a toy first of all. So this Cable, I love this design, this era of the Cable design. So the Cable Marvel Legend, yeah, it's
wearing he's wearing X pants.
Yep, he's wearing the X pants.
It's very Cyclops. I love that.
Yep. So then, since I guess we're going to be seeing Lady Deadpool in Deadpool 3, there we go, Deadpool Core #1. So I'm going to recommend that somebody go out there and spend too much money on it. Then we will go with, this is just a really fun. I always loved these. Sully, you might remember back in the day when they do all the Wizards special editions. Yes. And this was like, it's almost magazine size, but not really, but larger than comic book size. It's basically Golden Age sized.
Nice.
Except for a lot thicker. But yeah, this was really cool. There was so much great art in it. And then found this. All right, so not a big deal. It's just Joe Mad Uncanny X-Men, but let's see, newsstand from in the mid 300s. Anything after about 300 on the newsstand is going to be a little bit harder to find. And I've been, I finished my 1 through 600 run. But now I've been going back through, and anything that I had newsstand, I'm buying the direct version, and anything that I had that was direct, I'm trying to buy the newsstand. So I'm going to end up with not quite a double collection, but it's on my, because I didn't quite finish the all reprints and variants, and I decided recently that I'm going to include newsstand distinctions between newsstand and direct in my search.
That's nice.
Also, I'm well up over like 1,200 books in my Uncanny X-Men 1 through 600 at this point. I don't know how. Yeah, exactly. But cool Joe Mad art. I really like this era right around the time. This would have been the Siegel and Liddell, right before Steve Siegel and Joe Kelly came on to Uncanny and X-Men. And then we will go with something that's a little out of print. The trade of the Wildcats X-Men. And it's got all, look at this. Travis Charest doing
sweet
X-Men. This would have been the Golden Age. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Up there. Some Jim Lee. It's really freaking dope. They have the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Modern Age, and the Dark Age. And yeah, it was really, really good. But so yes, this is completely out of print. You can find all the individual issues. You can probably find them relatively cheap, but this archive is hard because it's a Marvel DC crossover. They don't republish this shit. They don't keep it in print anymore. This would have been, I think this even was before DC owned them. So, but yes, this is a good, fun story.
Very nice.
Yep.
Those
So
are
that's-
our recommendations.
That is my recommendations for this week.
Very nice. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. And if you were concerned or you put out prayers to our son, I really appreciate that. He's doing fine. He's a little bruised up, but not really worse for wear. He's 9 years old, so he's already back up and running.
Mhm.
And we had a little bit of a scare there with the motorcycle accident, but he is good to go. Appreciate all that stuff. And I will see you next weekend for Comics Aficionados. And we should be well into San Diego Comic-Con. We'll have Aaron Sparrow at the event, I guess, reporting about everything happening in real time. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
All right.